Okay, everybody, we're back. Hey, we're going to have the after show today, tonight, actually. KC is here, and we got PZ Myers with us, and General Han Solo, and CRISPR, and a whole bunch of other people to kind of go over what we thought about the debate. So much to talk about. Obviously, we have a limited amount of time, but I could probably discuss about 8 hours worth of material just from that debate alone. KC, first I'm going to ask you, what do you think of the debate? Then I'll ask PZ from his biological expertise and what he thought. But what do you think, KC?
I always enjoy a good debate. I don't know if this qualified as a good debate, but I had fun nonetheless.
It was enjoyable. I got to admit, it was very entertaining. I just thought that Kent had so many issues that he got wrong, and so many things that I thought that he would probably have a basic understanding of, which he didn't. And it was actually surprising to me.
Hadn't studied science at all.
It wasn't that complicated stuff, was it?
No, Cliff Jumper, really? No way, really?
I mean, he kept on equivocating between the origin of space, time, and matter, and the transition of the state from, this really hot and dense state I was talking about to the current cool and sparse state, which is what the Big Bang Theory is really describing.
One of the things that really frustrated me about was the whole nothing thing. It's like he's allergic to the idea of something from nothing, but he's okay that his God can come from nothing and create everything from nothing and create life from nothing, etc., etc., etc. That's perfectly fine, but the idea of something coming from nothing without an agency is just, sorry to continue on with this thought. The problem that I get is when I hear this argument, it's like, what is nothing? I've got an empty glass here. What's in it? What's in this glass?
Yeah, well...
And colloquially, we will say nothing. But it's a nothing with substance. It's got, oxygen, nitrogen, gravity, and volume. Nothing with substance. And at one point, he was even talking about, before the Big Bang. Which is a concept that doesn't work because, related is dependent on matter existing. So as soon as the Big Bang happens, so to speak, that's when time begins to exist. Well, so the idea before the Big Bang is a non-question.
Well, Cliff Jumper.
Well, let me just say this.
Go ahead, General.
I'll just say this quickly, Casey.
Yeah.
And me, likewise, I had the honor of listening to you debate Kent while I was windsurfing. I'm not kidding. and every time I saw a wave break, it's like Mother Nature was facepalming the whole time.
Mother Nature was facepalming. There was a lot of facepalming going on. I have to be obviously neutral and maintain a moderating type thing, but I was sitting there going, I don't think he's even understanding what KC is saying at all on any level. And this is somebody who supposedly taught physics for 15 years.
Well, it was obvious that he wasn't listening. Like that was apparent because KC had to repeat the same scenario and the same examples at least three, four times.
Yeah.
Oh, Kelsey was in here.
Yeah, and let me ask PZ though. PZ, what did you think from a science point of view? I mean, obviously it touched a little bit by biology. It was mostly about cosmology, but was it cringeworthy from even a biological point of view?
The biology was crap. I mean, anything Ken Hovind touches is going to be crap. The problem with these kinds of debates is that a good debate will focus on a specific topic. If you talk to Matt Dillahunty, he'll tell you, the first thing you do when you organize a debate is you lay down the law and you say, this is what we're going to talk about, and only this. We're going to focus really hard on this question and address it. And what you find when you talk with creationists, I kind of the same situation with Jerry Bergman years ago is they ignore that. They will just go charging off in whatever direction they want. They are flibbertigibbets who have no sense at all. So that was a difficult part about this debate, as I could tell King Crocoduck was trying to focus on his areas, and yet Hovind just charges off. And, you know, on a discussion of cosmology, why are you bringing up genetics? Why are you bringing up the species concept? It's just totally irrelevant.
If I'm not mistaken, that's a feature, not a bug. I mean, they will charge off into whatever direction they think the person they're talking to knows the least about.
Yes.
And it is notable,
you
know,
They prey on ignorance.
It's a classic Gish Gallop, is you just throw out, you know, a whole bunch of crap, and then you know that whoever you're debating can't possibly keep up with it all.
It was very notable, but the funniest thing was, like,
because
Heretic, your mic is a little bit scratchy there. But to go to PZ's point, though, yes, when I like to do debates, I like to have a very topical type subject. I debated Wayne here it's been about 2 years, and we kept it very, very myopic on a very specific topic about the existence of macroevolution, and it was structured. And as we all know, you know, Wayne is no longer a young Earth creationist because of Wayne talking to myself, talking to General Han Solo, and many other people, but we wanted to keep those debates on topic. To debate a young Earth creationist like Hovind, I don't think you can ever try to keep it to a specific topic. I don't think it'd even be physically possible to do so, because they just keep on moving to all different directions. It's been that way every time I've ever engaged with any young Earth creationist.
Yeah, I mean, you could see that when, you know, when the topic is the age of the Earth, he immediately switches to talking about, well, but where did the matter come from? That's not the topic under discussion.
Yeah, I was trying really hard to tell him, you know, it doesn't matter if I can't account where it came from. It's like with the cell. Where does the cell come from? It doesn't matter if I couldn't give you an account of that. I can still tell you how it works and how its processes have been functioning over time.
Exactly.
Same story with the universe.
Yeah.
Casey, I will admit though, I mean you did well. Like you pretty much this debate more of an education. But when you told Kent, oh, I can show off. I wish you did. I wish you did bring it up to showcase exactly what you're getting at in regards to the, well, I think ultimately it led to the whole and how E and M correlate each other. And I mean, then you could just totally refute Kent's, like Kent claims to be a maths teacher, and he doesn't. He thinks it goes a one direction in the equation. I mean, that itself just tells me the guy just. I think he's genuinely lying. He doesn't. He hasn't had any formal education whatsoever.
Really quick note: when he says he's a teacher, he means that he taught at like a Sunday school setting.
That's right. He taught at a private Baptist college for several years.
But he said that he was. At one point, he said that he was a high school physics teacher.
He taught high school students physics at a, you know, heavily religious private organization. He was not in a, you know, public high school teaching physics. That's.
Well, I think it's important to. I'm sorry.
For me, it really comes down to anybody who has qualifications such as that would be shouting them from the rooftops, say, look, this is what I've done. Can you find any evidence that he did this? If any, you know, that he actually went to any school and taught at that school?
No, we know where he's taught at. We know the Baptist schools. He had to list them on his deposition. There are 4 Baptist schools that he, quote unquote, taught at, which was basically, again, Sunday school teaching creation science. Obviously, his level of understanding of physics, mathematics, biology is, to me, very subpar. The fact that he didn't even understand that E equals mc squared is commutative, that energy is a direct relationship to mass, and vice versa, that's pretty fundamental. So that even took me aback. It really did.
Yeah, I actually...
Even I know that.
It reminded me...
Even Cal knew that. Cal doesn't know anything. Kidding.
But it's interesting that, I don't know, Casey, if you saw Kent debate Hugh Ross back in the 2000s, he actually brought up that E equals mc squared doubt even 17 years ago, where basically tells Hugh Ross, and in front of a live audience on national television, wrong, that time is not variable, rather that the speed of light is variable in the in the equation. And it's just amazing that even like when the moment he asked, "Can you verify equals MC squared?" it just jogged my memory in regards to that claim he made 17 years prior. It teaches that he hasn't learned anything at all.
So his whole shtick is basically just trying to undermine stuff we all take for granted as simple knowledge. I mean, he tries to place this epistemic uncertainty on things, and even to the point where mathematics and physics don't even work. I don't know how you build a framework from that, though.
Oh, it's quite simple. I mean, it's just a cover, because it's basically trying to say, let me keep asking questions until I find something that you can't answer. Therefore, Jesus,
the God of the gaps.
I can then fill that vacuum. It's the God of the gaps argument, and he's just looking for it. He's trying to exploit that God of the gaps argument. You just want.
Well, you just had to tell him that he's begging the question, which he admitted in a debate.
He did.
If he thinks that it's Jesus, he admitted he was begging the question.
He really did.
That was
Yeah.
my gift to all of you.
He did.
All right, thank you, Joe. Give it up for Joe. Thank you, Joe.
You see, my thought on that is he doesn't know what begging the question is either.
It's either that or he doesn't care about it enough.
All you have to do is say, okay, well, I think that the butt monkey is the designer of everything. You know how I know? The butt monkey designed a book that says he's the designer of everything. He'll know that that's stupid.
We're getting a lot of background noise. Can we mute if we got like Windows things? But Drag, did you try to get G-Man in here? G-Man's been trying to bug. Correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't G-Man tried to been bugged to kind of get into like to PZ or somebody about macro evolution for how long now? Because obviously we're not worthy enough to do it because whatever.
I told him, and he said he's going to be watching. So I mean, I'll actually send him the link right now.
Yeah,
Holy shit! I get to meet G-Man for the first time. This is exciting.
You're in for a treat.
It ain't that special.
It ain't that special.
Really nice.
I just read
I don't know what to expect.
I think knowing what to expect is the things
arrogance, incompetence, and just ignorance.
Oh, special is such a nice word, though. You're breaking it.
He speaks 5 different languages.
Well,
knows a lot about literature. Salt of the earth.
Let me make a recommendation. If you've never met G-Man before, I would recommend bracing yourself first by lowering the volume, especially if you're wearing headphones, and second by making yourself a very strong drink.
Yeah, double Scotch malt or something.
Yeah,
and put it on the
PZ's like, here you go.
You're gonna do.
What are you drinking, PZ? And I must
Okay. Before we start,
I'm drinking straight vodka.
So this
Straight
would
vodka.
be triple dab here, or how much should I take on the oil here?
Playing drinking game during this, was that just me?
Heretic, your mic, yeah. I love that. PZ's like, screw this. I'm drinking straight fucking vodka. I'm done. I'm done. I love that.
I understand that.
I get that, right? Yeah, G-Man.
It helps a lot.
I'm sure it does. It don't hurt, right? G-Man uploaded a video, something again on Mac.
I did a double every time. Can't repeat it himself.
Hang on, Heretic. G-Man keeps uploading these videos on Macro Evolution lately. I don't know why he has such a fetish on Macro Evolution. Again, I have that debate with Wayne. He's never bothered to go look at it. He's never contested anything that I brought to the table on why Macro Evolution is observed, what it is. He doesn't bother to. All he says is, "Oh, we've never seen it, ergo, Jesus." Well, I'm sorry, but that's not really a great argument to me.
It gets his subscribers into a tizzy when you bring up the macro evolution thing, and when Kent does these debates, it's the same effect. Kent isn't. I'm sorry, what?
No, nothing.
No, the issue to point out is, what is the line that separates macro from micro evolution?
Well, that's PZ.
I see.
He needs to show that in order to actually be relevant.
I go for PZ.
Yeah, but the thing is, the evidence for macroevolution is much older than that for microevolution. Charles Darwin didn't have any evidence about genetics or microevolution or any of the phenomena we take for granted. Everything he wrote about was macroevolutionary events.
I'm confused. Is there a line between
doesn't he think
micro and macro?
He had evidence for genetics. He just couldn't read it.
Well, yeah, he got it wrong. But yeah,
I mean, it was in his desk drawer.
And yeah, there's no hard fast. It's just like species. Species blur into one another, and micro and macro blur into one another. So if you're looking for an absolute black and white, harsh, strong line, it's not there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But that's his strength. That's what we expect.
But you have
every time he says microevolution works but not macro, tell him he's an idiot for thinking that, and that by affirming microevolutionary evidence, he's essentially saying that, extrapolate that over time, you have macroevolution.
Well, but also, I mean, though, there's a distinct class of evidence.
There's a distinct what? I'm sorry.
A distinct class of evidence for macroevolution. That, for instance, paleontological evidence is macroevolutionary.
I think, and PZ, correct me if I'm wrong, I think most people have a problem with macroevolution, I guess conceptually, because you have to at some point draw these inferences from the various fields. And so you'll hear like, G-Man or someone say, well, you can't test it in the lab. Well, there are certain things, certain lines of evidences that we simply don't have access to. So these inferences are really all we have. And since the predictions that we've made in the past, kind of jive with these evidences, then we simply will connect the dots because they happen to match.
Right.
Can I ask something about macro? You said there's no clear black and white. Is there a simple way to explain it? To give you some context, I'm a former young Earth creationist, so I'm trying to understand this so I can explain it to others. Is there?
Okay, let's take a distinct difference. So, for instance, gorillas and humans. You would agree that they are macroevolutionarily distinct. They're completely different species, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you do a molecular study, you look at that microevolutionary level of what's going on between them, you find that there are some genes that have been passed on that are shared with gorillas.
G-Man is here.
So there's 20,000 genes, and some of them have very similar alleles in humans and gorillas, so they are closely linked. But not all genes are that way. That there are other genes where you find distinct differences. So it's this complicated braid of genetic inheritance where you can't say, boom, now you're completely different.
Are there several definitions of macroevolution? Or is it as fluid as species?
It's science. Of course, they've got multiple definitions of it.
It's kind of like obscenity. You know it when you see
it. You know it when you see it.
Generally, though, the
I like
definition is that changes that occur at the level of the species or beyond are macroevolutionary, whereas microevolution occurs within the species.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Before
the way I've been understanding it is that it's on a scale. It's population size. It's more than one population on the macro end and a smaller population on the micro end. Is that?
Well, there's multiple populations within the species as well. So you can have a great deal of diversity within a species, and that's not a problem. You get macroevolutionary events when some kind of barrier develops, some kind of genetic barrier that prevents the flow of genes between two populations. Then you're talking macro.
Real quick, James, can you do a sound check? Okay, we're having some technical issues with James.
RJ is so loud, though, he doesn't even need a microphone, so we can hear him.
Because she's trying to yell. I see his little icon there.
While we're getting into that, RJ, by the way, Cal, you want to meet G-Man? Because you're fanning over here. Come on.
Hello, G-Man.
I do.
G-Man, Cal. And then kind of direct questions to KC and PZ. No, they're going to be our guests for the night. We can't hear you,
real
KC.
Quick. Mic check, KC.
KC is having trouble.
Yeah, I got it. So go ahead. Let's do some mic checks first, and then we're going to have more of a back and forth with them.
Thank you, PZ. I appreciate you answering my question. Sure.
If you can't, if we can't hear you, reload right now. If when you're doing a mic check, just scream into the mic. We'll let you know.
I can't hear you. KC, do a mic check, please. Lucas, I can hear you now. KC. Oh, he's gonna reload.
Yeah, he's reloading.
Yeah, we can hold we can hold 25 people in here, so it is a challenge to keep it all organized. We've done it before. PZ was in here last time. We had 25 on my 1,000 subscriber thing, so it is doable. We can do it. Trust me.
So I think that one of the struggles is for
test.
There we go.
Yay.
There we go, KC.
Okay, because I kept talking and like, yeah.
We were just ignoring you. That's all. You know.
I think one of the harder things for me when I'm trying to tutor someone is getting people to conceptualize it, and I guess once you've like reached the level of where CRISPR is and where PZ Myers is, finding good analogies I think is the key thing, because if I'm explaining evolution to a coworker of mine, they'll start off with, well, it's the belief that one thing can turn into another thing, and so you really have to say, well, it's not one animal morphing Pokemon style into a different organism and growing wings and breathing fire. No, it is a group of organisms making changes, and as they pass along their genetic information and through mutations, different selective pressures, you will eventually get a population of slightly different animals. And that wholly depends on what these animals are and what type of environment that they're in. So, you know, I think just conceptualizing it is the key thing, and trying to find these model organisms to use as an example. Yeah, what do you guys think?
Just before changing subjects, I just want to say thank you, Casey, for doing this debate with Kent, because you kind of opened my mind to see he's kind of an ass on some aspects. So you kind of take some fear away from me. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Casey makes it look easy, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Drag, I agree with you.
I think so. I think so. I think
I'm
you're
very self-conscious of my debate performance, so I always like go back and watch it 1,000 times. And,
you're very confident. I think we all are. I mean, I even done debates where, you know, when I debated true empiricism, I looked back on it and said, you know, yeah, I wish I would have done that a little bit different, or I could have, you know, gotten a little bit more in here. But that's because we are self-aware of our own limitations. We critique ourselves, right? I don't see that with the people. Kent's not gonna look back and go, oh, you know, I could have done this differently. I don't think he doesn't critique himself. They have no introspection. Hi, Sidestrike.
I'm curious though, PZ, what did you think of my Pluto analogy when it comes to, you know, the observation of evolution and the such?
I thought that was very good.
Yeah, that was fine. I mean, I usually.
I actually liked your.
His mic is cracking up like crazy.
Yeah. G-Man, reload, and then let PZ answer the question, please. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, I was just going to say that I usually don't think in terms of astronomy examples, but yeah, that was fine. It worked for me.
I personally liked your analogy of kinds using the electron and the atom and different kinds of elements. That was whenever Kent like rubs his face or rubs his chin, because I was simultaneously seeing like his live stream of his face. You could tell he gets a little bit uncomfortable.
I was just kind of surprised that
he tries and weasels out of it.
Kent wasn't familiar with like modern physics, looking at the atom, right? He was thinking like the Bohr model. He didn't even look at it from like a quantum aspect of how we look at electron orbitals, right?
Exactly.
And I was really surprised on that for a physics per teacher, quote unquote. Yes. That's basic.
So Steve, just a few hours ago, remember I was telling you about how Kent just doesn't update his material? Like he thinks the science of in the 1950s or 60s are like.
I'm surprised they didn't bring up the plum drop model.
As if, yeah,
it was
like
antiquated.
He thinks the science.
Sorry, go ahead, General.
He thinks the science in the 60s have been in stasis, and therefore it hasn't been updated, and that's why he's just repeating. Like he thinks that and it just amazes me to see that he actually doesn't care about any form of
it's just shtick.
Education, keeping up to date, and so on.
G-Man, do you want to do a mic check?
Sounds great, G.
I'll
You
do
sound
my
great.
check here. Anybody here?
Yes, Jay. Yes, RJ, we can hear you. G-Man, you've never sounded better. It's quiet.
Hey,
3 seconds of silence. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, hey, King Crocoduck. It was frustrating because he didn't really challenge his whatever theory did he even say he had a competing theory? Like,
yeah, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
yeah, how come you didn't take him? I mean,
his theory was...
that's the whole point. Is that look, you're having competing hypotheses to explain stuff.
You know what I was really pleased about? I got him to concede. Basically, I got him to push the Omphalos argument. It came to the point where he said God made the universe look old. I take a victory. I take that away as a victory.
Mm-hmm. I would too, because he takes it out of science.
Can I ask Crocker?
Jumping back to old style that took that position. The problem is you've got things like supernovas that you can see in distant galaxies. So you'd have to imagine that God is not just creating a distant object complete, but it's like
it's a movie
complete with a business suit with an expired driver's license in his wallet. Just way too detailed.
Well, most of those supernovae never would have existed.
Can we get a mic check from Hiller?
The stars never would have existed.
Yeah, let's get a mic check.
The illusion.
Hang on, let's get a mic check from Hiller. And by the way, Hiller, I wanted to ask your question. We only had a time constraint, but I thought you had a great question. And Hiller's question was basically something along the lines of, without using the Bible, how would you arrive at a younger universe position? Great question.
You don't. No.
Yeah.
The answer that he probably would have given is that it's his presupposed.
Hang on, you guys. I know there's a little lag with so many people in the room, but go ahead, Casey.
Well,
yeah, Casey was talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Casey.
And then Joe.
Oh, well,
or a general.
He would have said that it was his presupposition, and that everything makes sense when you look at it through this lens, and that I'm only using the Big Bang because of it's my presupposition that God doesn't exist or some shit like that. But if you remember from the first debate, especially for my opening statement, I just kept trying to push that we accept these models because of their predictive capabilities, not because it fulfills some sort of ad hoc rationalization capacity.
I rather enjoyed the idea that he said he had a model, as if yeah, it says in the Bible that's a model.
Yeah, dogs produce dogs. That's a model.
They don't know what a model is. Hiller, do you want to try again on your mic real quick, my friend? I don't hear. There you go.
Where did the matter from this explosion come from?
Oh, that was driving me nuts. I couldn't believe he kept referring to it as an explosion when there's no explosion.
Yeah, I was just hoping Gwen was saying non-dog.
Yeah, I didn't want to get caught up too much in semantics.
I know.
Yeah, I understand.
Turning matter into energy, or energy into matter. The point there, of course, is the E equal MC.
RJ, turn off your camera again. Your bandwidth is so bad when you have your camera on. You don't have one of those high definition cameras like PZ's got, and you're just breaking up the whole place.
I'm ancient.
So we know how pretty you are. We know what you look like.
Before Casey goes,
there you
go. Before Casey goes, the main crux of Kent's model was stated in the debate. He clearly said, first things first is that the Earth first exists. Now, I asked Steve, but I understand that you guys were going back and forth and you went over time. But my question to Kent would be, the Bible actually doesn't say that, A. And B, Casey, if you do make a response video on your channel, educate the people that the Earth comes 9 billion years, not that the universe originates from the Earth. So that's the crux. Once you refute that, then Ken has no model.
Yeah, he's got to get past day 4, which the Bible borrowed from the Babylonians, and so he's got a faulty science that he's got to rest it on from the Bronze Age.
G-Man, you want to do your mic check now, or we can?
Can I do a mic check, Steve?
Yes, your mic sounds good.
Yes, yeah, G-Man wanted to chat with me.
Yeah.
He mentioned in the comments.
Oh, yes.
Mic check, G-Man.
Steve, while we're waiting on G-Man, I'd like to please ask a question and also make a statement out of it. Ken Hovind stated that the phrase God stretched out the heavens was used 17 times in the Bible. I Googled it, and Bible Gateway only returned 8 times. Where's his remaining 9? If that's the phrasing, where are his other 9?
I think G-Man has a microphone.
No.
Well, he at least has a microphone in theory.
Me?
Really you're G-Man, you're all crackly.
You're gonna have to get off that Walmart internet.
Turn something off.
I don't think Verizon's on the internet.
I think we're getting something.
But not much of it.
All right, hang on. We all can tell his mic's crap, so let's just hang on. G-Man, only everybody else. G-Man, you talk, and we'll see if we can actually hear you enough where you can and KC can talk for a few, because I know KC is limited in his time, and I know PZ is in the East Coast. Yeah, I'm gonna say no on that. It's really bad.
You have 7 days to live.
We can hear Roy.
Anybody who watches this video has 7 days to live.
Okay. So anyway, Steve, my question is, where are the remaining 9 cases that Ken had?
I could even venture a guess.
If that's the phrasing that he claims is only being used, not another phrasing.
I have a feeling that his ass may be involved in the answer.
Who said why is that relevant?
Yeah, why is that relevant?
Because he said that it's used 17 times. I can only find 8. So is he lying, or is he using a different phrasing somewhere?
Well, no, I mean the reference to that. Why was that relevant for him to bring that up?
Oh, because he's trying to show that how God moved these stars out, like.
Oh,
so
okay,
so they were he put them there rather than them just doing it over billions of years.
I see.
Right. So he says there's 17 references. I can only find 8 with the exact phrasing used. Where's his other 9 phrasings or points? None of which are in Genesis. One in Job. Most of them were in Isaiah. One in Zechariah, and one of them I forget the other book it was.
I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Are you checking in the King James? Because he's a King James only guy.
Well, Bible Gateway will hit everything.
The geek room just said G-Man will drop out and say he was kicked and claim victory. We
just call me. Just call me on Skype. He's going to come in on GTV.
Okay.
He's going to switch devices, so I just sent him a link. He should be here in a few seconds.
But that was funny.
Before that happens, I do want to point out that whether it's 9 times or 18 times, like Casey pointed out last time, it doesn't really change the physics involved.
These are myopic.
I do agree, but it's when he says it's mentioned 17 times. That's him trying to throw weight and credibility onto what he's saying.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because the more times it's stated, the more important it must be.
Yeah.
Well
it's not there. That is the source. So all he has to do is to ground things in the Bible, and from his audience's point of view, that's the end of the argument.
Right.
Yeah, but James, if it only happens once, you don't have a lot of weight on that. If it happens multiple times, then that gives it more weight.
Yeah, I guess so. But anyways, Wayne, I think it's kind of a minor moot issue. But Wayne, are you there? Because I want to get Wayne in here. Wayne,
you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. I want to get you in here, because you are someone that used to be a young creationist. You used to be a big fan. You actually know Kent personally. Yeah. And then you actually fell away from him because you've learned that macroevolution is true. You've learned that the Big Bang is a model that works. You basically you actually debated him on Mario's channel, The Vigilant Christian.
Yeah, that was last year, General and I. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you want to talk to PZ a little bit, because I know he's a big big fan of his, and I want to get you in this time because I wasn't able to last time that much.
Hey PZ, hey KC, hey the rest of you guys. I'm just I'm disappointed. Because he's not receptive to any new information, and maybe it's because he's an older gentleman. But it's very sad to see that he's not really even willing to concede on any of his points. That's the whole point of science, falsification. And I guess with his crowd, the thing that that's going to keep a lot of these people stuck in this younger creationist box is they're not willing to falsify their ideas. And so with me, when somebody taught me about falsification and testing of models and etc., and I put that to the test when it came to younger creationism and all the rest of that stuff, everything else it just kind of fell off like scales.
Yeah, so Kent briefly mentioned his 7,000 slides. I've actually seen his slide deck, and yeah, it's pretty clear. He's got a little collection of replies to everything, and he is doing everything by rote. He's just going through his collection and saying, okay, here's answer number 217A to that particular question. Boom, I'll put it out there.
Do you notice?
PZ,
Yeah, you got you.
if I may,
Yes,
does Kent Hovind have a picture of you riding a dinosaur?
Oh god.
I don't know.
PZ, do you notice though when Kent gets off script, it is just a downward spiral after that?
Oh yeah, yeah. He tries desperately to get back into his predetermined set of answers.
Yeah, and that's why I was glad, KC, you had kept him very effectively from Gish Galloping.
Years ago.
Yeah. Well, he does. He doesn't realize that we now have access to the internet. We can actually look at his claims, find out that they're all bullshit. And Casey, again, I want to really congratulate you. I think you did a superb job on preventing him from Gish Galloping. I mean, obviously there was some. It's unavoidable. But you did keep trying to bring him back and at least using it to your advantage every time you did. And I thought that was very commendable. Very, very good.
I think it was good that you called out his use of like pop science articles instead of going to the actual literature, because that's a really big point. Because a lot of the younger creationists that we'll deal with here on G Plus, that they rely almost solely on what science says, but they won't actually go to, like, Google, even just like Google Scholar, and find a paper that's relevant to what they want to argue. And it's very telling.
There's no experience more humbling.
Those kind of papers are kind of complicated, and you can imagine why they'd want to avoid looking at those.
Yeah, go ahead, Casey. I agree, Cliff. Oh, good, Casey.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's no experience more humbling than realizing where on the Dunning-Kruger curve you lie.
Ain't that the truth, right? Oh, but that's an understatement. And
can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, the first comment I want to make is I don't have bad internet. There's 25 people in here. My phone is not equipped to come into a room like that. And then number two, my other computer, I'm having a lot of problems with that one. So it had nothing to do with my internet. King Crocoduck.
Hi, G-Man. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I just got a couple of questions for you. Do you believe you won that debate?
That's not up to me.
I could do a straw poll of the audience. Cool. Let's do a straw poll. I say yes, he won. Anybody else?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Anybody say no?
Congratulations on your victory. I just got a couple of questions for you. Since you won the debate, King Crocoduck, why did you mention Pluto going around the sun as evidence for evolution? Just curious.
Well, I wanted to illustrate a point that you don't need to witness every step of a model in order to be able to make an inductive inference. So Kent Hovind is saying, you can't say that just because allele frequencies are varying, that allele frequencies have been varying without bounds over the past however many years. And I'm saying, you can look at a little piece of data. You can see a portion of Pluto's trajectory, and from that be able to inductively infer what the remainder of the orbit should be. And
okay,
that was kind of the point.
So you only need to see a little bit of it in order to believe that Pluto orbiting the sun is evolution. Okay, it's evidence for evolution. Oh, okay. Cool.
No. It's an analogy.
Secondly, my other question for you is this, and then I'll just listen for a little while. I don't recall you showing any evidence for macroevolution. When did you do that?
I didn't, because the debate was about physics.
Oh, it was about physics. I thought you were trying to prove evolution. Okay.
Yeah, can I jump in?
Yeah, 1 second, RJ, but let me just qualify this. The debate tonight had nothing to do with evolution whatsoever. The orbital Pluto thing had nothing to do with evolution. None of this had anything to do with evolution. The topic was cosmology and things relating around physics, not biology. I want to throw that out there. And anybody who watched the debate, I think that was pretty evident. I mean, we did, for the most part. But I mean, there was specific questions that from the audience that people had been wanting to ask, but the conversation between the two was centric upon physics, Big Bang cosmology, and that kind of stuff. So.
Oh, okay. So just want to make sure that I understand you correctly, that you believe that you don't need to see everything, according to you, and number two, Pluto orbiting the sun is enough for you to believe that evolution is true, right?
Oh my God, it's called an analogy.
let me respond.
I mean, what you did,
guys, let him respond.
Explain what an analogy is so we can all hear what you think about that.
All right, everybody's going to have to mute. I'm going to unmute people, and I'll call on people, because now that we have 25 people in the room, it's not going to work. Everybody shouts out. Do face palming, though. Face palming is accepted. I mean, I think PZ actually left a red mark in his head. But so go ahead, Casey, please address that.
The echo chamber's strong in here, but anyway, can you answer my question, though, King Crocoduck? Because I want to make sure that you only need this much to be able to say that evolution is true, because not now, obviously.
But in order, it seems that we first need to have a conversation.
But when I talk about this later, I don't want to hear you changing your story later. But go ahead.
No, I'm not going to change my story. Okay, I'm gonna take this step by step. So if we want to be able to understand what counts as evidence for evolution and what counts as an acceptable model, we have to understand what counts as evidence and how we can actually develop a model and what the point actually is. As you might know, the entire point of scientific theories is to be able to predict future data. Of course, the theory has to be falsifiable, it has to meet certain criteria, it has to not contain any unfalsifiable elements, it has to be parsimonious, but generally speaking, the most important aspect of a theory is that it accurately predicts future data. Now, we don't have access to future data until the future, obviously. And we make the assumption, in order to be able to do science, that there are regularities in nature, that there exists...
Not evidence.
Hello?
An assumption is not evidence.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we make an assumption that there are regularities in nature, that there are patterns in the universe, yeah? Like if I drop something, it's going to fall down, and maybe the way that it falls corresponds to something having to do with the masses of what's falling. It has something to do with the distance that it falls. You know, I can look at these patterns, and I can extrapolate what's going to happen if I, drop it another way? What's going to happen if I drop it through a medium? What's going to, you add more and more variables, and you make more and more predictions, you collect more and more data, and eventually what you have is a comprehensive model based on little pieces of evidence.
No evidence whatsoever, on zero evidence whatsoever, other than you see the fact that Pluto...
Please! We'll get there, G-Man, be patient, we'll get there. G-Man, I'm starting...
You said in a live Google Hangout that evidence for evolution was Pluto going on.
G-Man, I'm trying to finish? I'm trying to illustrate a general principle here.
Here we go again, G-Man. You want somebody to teach you. You begged and pleaded that no one wants...
Okay, you're not teaching me.
G-Man, you're not listening to what he's trying to tell you. You're interrupting him.
I'm not part of it.
He's not... To G-Man, he's trying to explain to you the stuff that you want to know. If you're upset that people keep making fun of you and don't teach you, a part of that is you having to shut up long enough for them to tell you.
Well, this is just pure gold. When did anytime in this room I've been in here, show me the timestamp where I said I wanted him to teach me.
I'm talking about in the past. How about this? How about the time we met up in New York and you complained to me that everyone
I said it right now.
You complained so much that no one took the time to teach you. And I said, you know what? I will take the time to do it. And we all did. And you still repeated the wrong stuff. I said, I knew that was going to happen. That's fine. That's whatever. But don't waste everyone's time here pretending you actually want to listen when you keep interrupting folks when they're explaining to you what the analogy is.
I'm not.
Let me give you a little time
right now.
Can I give you a little pop quiz question?
Yeah, please.
Yes. Can we let Casey talk?
Before we
Let's let Casey talk.
Before we do we know Kevin?
I just want to ask G-Man a question.
Yeah, I have to do this real quick. Do we know Kevin? Because he doesn't have an icon, and I don't think he has a profile, and it makes me a little nervous.
Which Kevin is this?
The one that doesn't have a profile. All right, I can't really take a chance with this.
He has a profile. His name is Kevin Smith. 6 followers.
Sorry.
Boot him.
Yeah, sorry. I can't take the chance. All right, go ahead, Casey. Please respond to that, Casey.
Okay, so I just really quickly want to quiz G-Man. I just want to make sure that you were paying attention. Well, your question, but I want to make sure that you're listening and that I'm not talking to the wall.
I asked you a question. Right now, just try to move the goalposts. It's really simple things.
I want to answer your question, G-Man. I really do.
Question. You said that the Pluto was going around the sun, and that was evidence for evolution.
No, that was evidence for evolution. You're gonna have to post the timestamp.
Please. Yeah, can we get a time? G-Man, can we get a timestamp of that?
I want to explain this. G-Man, I want to answer your question. but I don't know if in the process of answering your question, you're going to be listening to me. So far, it doesn't seem like you're listening. So I just want to, I want to do a sanity check. I want to do a sanity check really quick by checking to see whether you have been paying attention.
You mean agreeing with you? That's fancy talk for saying that you want to know if I'm going to be agreeing with you. And the answer is, I will.
It doesn't matter whether you agree with me or not is immaterial, G-Man. Whether you agree with me or not is immaterial. I just want to make sure that you understand my point of view. And in order to be able to check that you do understand my point of view, that you have been listening, I just want to know if you can tell me what the point of a scientific theory is.
I would like for you to answer my question.
I will, but not until I'm certain that you're actually listening to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Let me moderate here. I agree. G-Man, there's no point. G-Man, let me speak real quick if I may. There's no point of having a conversation between anybody if you cannot demonstrate that you're listening. That's how a conversation works. All KC is doing now, all KC is doing now is trying to see if you are actively listening to further having a conversation. I think that's perfectly acceptable. So are you listening to what Casey is telling you?
I am listening to what he is saying. If he's not going to answer my... Now, listen to me, Steve, okay? If he's not going to answer my question, and I am not obligated to answer his. The man said that Pluto is going around the sun, okay? That's evidence for evolution. If he doesn't
I didn't say that was evidence for evolution. You're putting words in my mouth.
I'm going to assume that's what he was saying.
Okay, G-Man.
I'm going to rip him.
Your assumption sucks. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, G-Man. I was moderating. G-Man.
If Pluto's going around the sun,
G-Man.
in evolution.
G-Man. G-Man. I was moderating that debate. At no time did Casey make any such statement. At no time did he use the observation of Pluto as an example for evolution. That was not his analogy. He did. That was not even remotely his analogy.
Can I just?
Well, hang on. No. Now that guys. Now that
1 second. Can I repeat?
General, can you wait for a second? Now that has been explained to G-Man that Casey did not actually say that, I think G-Man should answer his question. Casey answered his.
No, I'm talking to King Crocoduck. I asked him a direct question.
And he answered.
King Crocoduck appears to be a grown man and capable of answering questions himself.
So
I would like him to answer my question. I don't play games with you guys, and you know it. If you don't answer my question, I'm going to assume you're lying to me. You're being intellectually dishonest with me, and I'm going to ignore you. At that point.
You can't spell
I made a video on it proving that Matt Dillahunty is that.
Okay, Casey, I'm going to ask you, did at any time in that debate, did you ever use Pluto as an example to support evolutionary theory?
No.
Okay, there you go. Answer. The question has been answered.
So watch this. So it's been addressed. So it's been addressed directly. G will still go at. He just said no. What else do you want from him?
Gray, and I am not talking to Dragnut. I am
just said no.
He just said no.
He literally just said it. What more do you want him to say?
King Crocoduck can't speak for himself. Why is that?
He said no.
You're talking over me.
You know what I mean?
So G-Man is going to go. He is going to make a video, and even though he's been corrected, G-Man will still go and repeat this. I guarantee it.
I guarantee it too.
G-Man, and let me answer your question, but I can't do that if you keep interrupting me.
All right, King Crocoduck, you have the floor. You have the floor. So everybody else, King Crocoduck, answer any way you see fit. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to clarify that at no point did I use the orbit of Pluto as evidence for evolutionary theory. The point that I'm trying to make is that there's an acceptable standard of evidence, and that this standard of evidence is one that Hovind apparently rejects. And yet the same standard of evidence can be used to demonstrate the orbit of Pluto and the orbital mechanics of Pluto, but apparently not evolution. What I'm pointing out to Mr. Hovind is that he's holding to a double standard. That's my answer to your question. That's why I brought up Pluto.
Okay. And I think that's a
great
answer.
I should probably let you know that Pluto does not prove that evolution.
Oh, Jesus.
He didn't say it.
All right, so hang on. All right, let's take. Wait. Take 5 seconds to facepalm yourself, everybody. But here's exactly.
I need five hands.
I'm foot palming my fucking self. I'm serious. I'm using my feet here. G-Man, this
literally just said it.
This is.
Am I allowed to consume cannabis on the stream, or should I stop?
King Crocoduck, I got one more question.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Hang on. This is G-Man. This is exactly what you did, G-Man. G-Man, I'm speaking. This is exactly what you did the other day when you went on to the Drunken Peasants and you said that I had said that one could believe in a deity and still be an atheist. When just the day before, in a hangout with you on my channel, I said, if you believe in a God, you could not really consider yourself an atheist in any non-trivial sense. I can say I believe in Jesus as a God and I'm an atheist, sure, but that doesn't make you one, right? That's a trivial case. If you believe in a God, you are a theist. This is pretty basic philosophy and theology, and yet you
just sent me a private message.
Okay. Now, as far as Steve goes, Steve, this is like the 5th or the 7th time you've lied on here and said that you did not say that you can believe in a God.
You missed the big picture here.
No, dude. When I get done with you, you thought true empiricism empowers you.
This
is an example of G-Man not listening, though. He doesn't care what you...
At my own
He's monopolizing the goddamn hangout.
I know. He doesn't... He's a hangout. He doesn't care... G-Man.
Transition on him, please.
Yeah. You can't... Well, the problem is...
G-Man, this is my first time meeting you.
So I had a question for King Crocoduck. King Crocoduck, do you believe that you're related to bananas?
Wait, can we wait a second?
Oh, Christ.
Wait, do you believe you're related to bananas? Really?
Yes, I do too, and so does everybody else probably in here.
Oh my God! Oh Lord, I think all of you guys need to be put in this asylum. You believe you're related to a banana?
G-Man, I also.
Bananas are always going to produce bananas. How is it possible for you to be related to a banana?
G-Man, it's amazing how you're talking and not letting any other people respond. Thanks.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got to hear this because I'm gonna learn something today.
No, you're not. No, you are incapable of learning anything.
G-Man, if I'm going to be honest, I don't think you're going to learn anything.
I agree.
Ever. Unless you learn to just be quiet for long enough for people to be able to tell you what they're trying to say and actually absorb the information. You are bursting. You're absolutely bursting to say whatever's on your mind, but you're not having much interest in hearing what people actually have to say. For that reason, I don't really have much interest in talking to you anymore.
He left his room. Oh, no, wait.
No, he's still here.
So
wait a minute. My biology tells me you believe that you're related to a banana.
Yeah, we've already established that.
Tells me you believe that you're related to a banana. You know?
I believe crazier things than that, G-Man.
So how about this?
You want to hear some other crazy things I believe? G-Man, you want to hear some other crazy things?
There's no God probably too, I'm sure, but you don't got no evidence.
No, I believe some really crazy shit. You want to hear?
Yeah, what do you believe?
I believe that I'm traveling right now at thousands of miles per hour.
No way. Gasp.
Well,
that's pretty crazy, huh?
Crazy.
The Earth is moving.
Oh my God.
So if I'm on a train, G-Man, if I'm on a train and the train is going at 50 miles per hour, I'm not moving at 50 miles per hour?
Well, you're on a vehicle. Technically, you're on a vehicle.
Oh my fucking God.
You're
not moving with it.
Quite technical about things. You understand what I'm saying?
All right.
You're not going to run that on me. All right.
Drop the RMT brick on him, please.
I'm sorry, Crocoduck. G-Man won that argument.
I'm curious, Steve. How do you know I was talking about you and the peasants?
I watched it.
Oh my God.
I had a debate with Thaddeus. How do you know I wasn't talking about him?
Because you why? Because you had left a message telling me you were going to go on the Drunken Peasants and not name me by name and accuse me of saying that you know somebody that believes you can believe in a God and still be an atheist. You had messaged that, so that's how I know. Wait. I have a screenshot of it. That's how I know.
I didn't mention any names.
Right, but I have a screenshot. I have a screenshot of you messaging.
I screenshot what I said, but I didn't mention any names.
Right.
I debated Thaddeus on the topic. How do you know I was talking about him?
Take it easy on him. He doesn't understand the concept of evidence.
I know. But it's okay. No, it's funny.
Never provided anything.
Again, man doesn't know how words work.
He doesn't know how words work.
Christopher, you have no idea.
You just don't. The day before,
Jesus was an 8.
G-Man.
He evolved from a
G-Man, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to be muted when you interrupt people. So I'm going to give you plenty of time to top, but you have to shut up for a second to let people speak. You were in my hangout literally the day before, leveling this accusation against me, saying that I had supposedly said that if you believe in a God, you're an atheist, which makes no fucking sense. And everybody in here knows that you lied about it. Everybody in here knows about it. Everybody that's ever commented.
30 minutes of material showing that you're a liar, bro.
Okay,
you have no idea how dumb you're making yourself look right
But
now.
the point being is, to the context of this hangout, is that you do not listen to what people tell you. When I tell you straight out, you cannot believe in a God and really consider yourself to be an atheist, you don't care what somebody has to say.
I can prove right now you're lying,
And
Steve.
hang on, and Casey, I want to get back to this. Casey,
you don't know what a lie is. You
right now you're lying, Steve.
Concept.
Casey had given you a
Steve,
question.
I'll prove it right now you're lying, Steve.
Casey, God, will you shut up for a
Steve, I'll
second?
prove it right now you're lying, Steve.
I will give you the
Actually, I got
floor
a
in a
quick question.
second. No, the next person to speak. Will you let me speak for a second? No, Drag. Let me just get this out. This is ridiculous. Okay, you're letting him run the roost. Okay, it's not going to happen. Casey had asked him a question, and G-Man had asked Casey a question. Casey has now answered the question. It is time for G-Man to answer that question, and then he can prove that I'm a liar. Whatever he wants to do, I am fine with that. But there's still a question on the table about what Casey was talking about in regards to science. Casey, will you ask that question again? Because we do not move past things until somebody has some kind of reciprocation of a dialogue in the great debate community. So ask your question again.
G-Man, the point of this question was to check to see if you were paying attention to what I was saying or if you were just bursting to say whatever you were going to say. The question is, what is the point of a scientific theory?
There you go.
He doesn't know.
I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay, then you have no purpose. Then you have no purpose of being here.
I got a very important question. G-Man, what would King Crocoduck have to say to make you change your mind from your original opinion about what he had said in the debate?
I asked Steve McRae to prove that I was lying about the.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your original premise. I'm talking about your original claim. Hold on for a second. Hold on for a second.
Yeah.
You said King Crocoduck was using the orbit of Pluto as evidence for evolution. What would he have to say to change your mind?
He's muted.
Well, unfortunately, he's not going to be able to say anything in this room.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead, G-Man.
No, just anything.
He's going to have to talk to me either on Skype or a private message between me and him only, or something like that.
G-Man, go ahead. You have the floor.
There are 20-something other people in here.
All right, General, hang on.
Evidence is private.
G-Man, go ahead. G-Man, go ahead. Answer the question. You have the floor.
You don't take the conversation off topic.
Okay, everybody hush.
Really simple.
Everybody hush. G-Man, go ahead. Answer Dreg's question. Answer any question. You have not answered one.
Okay, so I'll answer this question for a second time since Steve McRae wasn't listening, okay? If King Crocoduck wants to talk to me about that, he can talk to me
I don't
on
think
a
he does at
neutral
this point.
channel or in a private conversation or on Skype or something like that, and we can talk about that. But I am not stupid enough to come on this YouTube channel and have this conversation with this many atheists in the room. It's not.
I have no business here.
G-Man, you are always stupid enough. Remember that.
Yeah,
I don't believe that I'm related to a banana. Just remember that. You do.
I mean, let's ask Casey. Casey, I obviously don't tell you who you can and cannot talk to, but Casey, would you have any even interest to talk to somebody who doesn't listen? What would be the point?
G-Man, I will talk to you. I will have a private debate with you if you meet this one condition. I need you to tell me right now, without any excuses, without any bullshit, what the point of a scientific theory is. If you can do that, then we will have a debate.
King Crocoduck, it's something you need to know about me, bro. I barely know who you are. And I don't care if you don't want to debate me. I said I would answer your question if we have a private one-on-one conversation.
He said, fine, answer the question. He said he would.
I really don't care if you don't want to talk to me, bro. I got bigger fish to fry.
He just said he would,
If you want to talk to me one-on-one, you will be an example made later on. So I don't really care. All right?
Sure.
You got me mixed up with somebody else, man.
I got to tell you, though.
Jump in, please.
We haven't confused you with an idiot because we know you are, G-Man.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing now. I was talking to King Crocoduck, Cliff. I wasn't talking to you. Why don't you learn how to walk out your house without being scared of other people?
G-Man, he said.
Okay, whatever.
G-Man,
so Steve, you said I lied about
G-Man,
you,
for
Steve.
God's sake, he just said he would have a one-on-one discussion with you if you answer his question. Now, the question now is, will you answer his question, or do you not want to have a one-on-one with him? Simple as that.
I just answered him twice, Steve.
You have not answered how it relates to science. His question regards.
His question. Now Cliff is muting me.
Well, then answer his question.
Real quick, Steve. Steve Jungle Jargon wants to.
Yeah, Jungle Jargon come in. I invited him. Give him the link, please.
Okay.
I told him for
Jungle Jargon. I gotta go talk to that.
Quick thing. Apparently, King Crocoduck needs to leave. So before you do, I wanted to say, first of all, it's an honor getting to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing your continued series on stuff like the new Lysenkoists and all that kind of thing. So good luck with all that in your studies.
Yes,
thank you.
I agree.
And thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Casey.
Nice to meet you, Casey.
So you taking off, Casey?
Thank you, Casey.
Take care, Casey.
All right, Casey. It's a pleasure as always, man. Again, you did amazing. I don't know if there's going to be a part 3, but there's going to be definitely more debates with Hovind on my channel that I want you to be in the after show and talk about. And you know, thanks for all the help that you've been doing to promote my channel and the messages you've been putting up there. It has gotten me quite a few more subscribers and people that more important than that, it's got people interested in the great debate and the discussions. And that to me is just amazing. So thank you for that very much. So
thanks. Have a good one.
All right, peace, brother. Bye-bye. So, anyways, like I said, G-Man was going to have a one-on-one with him, but he couldn't answer his basic question that he was asked 3 times. So, what are you going to do, right?
I know. Sorry.
Oh, I got a super chat! Yay! Thank you, Thomas Brody. $2. You can leave a comment for that.
You know what? I want to say that I could easily get through that entire debate without ever once having anyone raise their voice enough to where my PTSD actually triggered. Someone finally hit that point.
It was pretty mellow. I mean, I wouldn't expect there to be much non mellow dialogue between the two. I mean, they're both intelligent, adults. But Landon Curtino wants to join. Let me get him in there too, if possible.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
we love Landon.
I want to scold Landon.
Oh no, I meant the mainstream before. Nothing ever even triggered my adrenaline gland, but G-Man yelling. Oh,
I know. He just screeches, right? You can't even have a conversation with G-Man because it gets to the point where all he does is screech. I mean, poor PZ sitting there going, "Holy shit! What the hell is this shit show?" Because
y'all have no.
It's running non-productive Google Hangouts again. Personal attack.
Yeah.
Again, personal attack.
Yeah.
That's all you're capable of, Steve.
That's not even a personal attack. That's actually a statement of fact. It really is a statement of fact at this point. We can demonstrate this.
Your impotence is a statement of fact.
PZ, have you met Landon? Great, G-Man. Have you met Landon Curtino before, PZ, if I can ask?
No. No, I haven't.
Oh,
all I know is you keep personal attacking.
Great. Landon
Curtino
is a mathematician / astronomer / computer scientist. He had 8 roles.
Wait a minute. You're an astronomer?
Astronomer. He had 8.
Are you an astronomer?
He had 8 world. He had 8 world records in mathematics. The guy.
Can I ask you a question?
For God's sake, I can't get 3 words out.
You're going to do a world record in math, right?
G-Man,
right.
Hang on.
Oh, I'd love to talk to this guy about evolution. I'd love to hear what his math is in a minute. Just give me a second. Yes.
He's a mathematician, computer scientist. Now, if you want to talk about evolution, PZ Myers is your man to go to. But I think PZ Myers is about ready to blow his head off at this point.
Who's PC Myers? Who's PC Myers?
Yeah, that guy waving his hand.
Yeah, waving hand PZ, yes.
Who's that? There's 20-something people in here. Okay.
Yeah, that's PZ Myers.
I'm sorry, sir, because I don't really watch this channel that much.
He actually knows something about biology. I've actually read his stuff. Can I ask you a question,
legit. Sir? Now, sir, when I ask you a difficult question, expect the whole room to come and help you, because that's how they do things here and whatnot. You know you broke the record of math, I think, or whatever, right? So
no, different guy.
The bananas. Since every last one of them has failed miserably to explain to me how that makes any logical sense whatsoever. Can you please explain to me how a banana will never become nothing other than a banana, but before bananas were bananas, they were something else? Like, I don't understand that. Can you explain that to me, please?
Yes, my cousin will never become me. Isn't that kind of obvious?
Grandparent is a human being, right?
Well, yes.
This is the species.
Right. A banana is not all.
But a banana and a
banana
human.
And me, I'm a human. Bananas are fruit. How am I related to the banana? Can you explain that to me?
Humans and bananas are both eukaryotes. So
can you define that for me, please?
We are organisms. Yeah, we're organisms with a nucleus.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I was talking in the background.
Our cells have nuclei.
Oh, okay.
And
our cells have nucleus. Okay. So how does that mean not related to a banana?
Bananas and humans both have cells with nuclei. We share a common ancestor roughly 2 to 3 billion years ago.
Okay, and what was the common ancestor? And if I did a DNA test with a banana, will it come out saying that we got the same DNA?
No, it'll come out saying we have similar DNA.
We have similar DNA.
Yes.
Okay, so because we have similar DNA, that means that evolution, macroevolution is particularly true, right? That's change over long.
Part of the evidence for it, yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So I give a macroevolution case.
Now, are you one of these people that believe that what is that thing called? A totalic was the original common ancestor?
Tetrapod, yes, way down the stream.
It's a tetrapod now. Okay, so
it's always been a tetrapod.
No organism. I don't talk to biologists. I don't talk to scientists, and I don't heard so many different common ancestors. I don't lost count. Like I heard blue-green algae.
James, RJ, hang on. Let
organism. I've heard all these different things, but I don't know who's telling me the truth. Can you tell me what the truth is?
Can I ask a question?
No, RJ. No, hang on, RJ.
Butting in.
Yeah, RJ.
You know what I
RJ.
mean?
Let PZ Myers and G-Man talk for a bit.
PZ,
it's not going to work if you're button.
Yes, exactly. You'll have your time, RJ. I know you know a lot about biology, but go ahead, G-Man. Finish your conversation with PZ here, and everybody else kind of just stay muted,
I'm trying
please.
to get the consistency on how I can be a human being, and I know for a fact that I descended from other human beings because I see it every day. What I don't see is this, what is that thing called, a tetrapod evolving into whatever it evolved into, like over billions of years or whatever, and then evolved in the next step in the billions of years or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? So how am I related to a tetrapod or a banana? That's what I'm trying to understand.
So
with evidence, if you
we evolved. We are tetrapods. We evolved from other tetrapods, just as we are humans and we evolved from other humans. The Tiktaalik that you were mentioning, that's what, 300, 400 million years old. So, way back in the Carboniferous, our ancestors were amphibians.
Okay.
I don't understand quite the problem you have with that concept.
Well, I'm a Christian for starters. So you're saying that
most Christians accept evolution. You're saying that you're a Christian is not a legitimate excuse.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I believe that God created me. God created me on. I'm sorry. That God created Adam. I should be more specific. In one day, he didn't evolve from anything, and the Bible was quite clear about that.
You believe this? Yes, I know you believe this, but you have no evidence for it.
Oh, I do. My evidence is that every time I look at my family tree, I see human beings, and I never see anything that's not a human being.
You don't go back far enough.
Another human being.
G-Man, do you acknowledge how slow
Wait, or anything other than that do that? And science deals with observation. I've never once seen it. You have to believe that you evolve. And I'm going to quote Ken Hovind, okay? You got to believe.
No, there's multiple lines of evidence.
We got no evidence for that.
Yes, we have evidence of prior ancestors that were not human.
Okay,
so we have paleontological evidence. So we have the bones, we have the fossils. There's molecular evidence, which I consider far more persuasive, that we have a nested hierarchy of shared sequences compared to other related organisms. So all this together, so it's the same way that you can get on CSI and they can identify paternity is by looking at the similarity of the genes. We can also look at the similarity of genes between us, other mammals and reptiles and fish, and we can see a pattern of increasing divergence.
Okay, I disagree with that. And first I'll deal with the fossil record, because I know you brought up the bones and everything and whatnot. I don't believe the fossil record proves that we're, as a matter of fact, I recently went to the Museum of Natural History. I went there like, 2 or 3 times now. And every time I look at these bones, they're saying that these are bones of human beings. And I'm convinced that I'm looking at actually, I'm sorry, not human beings. They're saying that they're bones of apes. And I think that we're looking at the bones of human beings from different parts of the world during a different part of time. You know what I'm saying? Not apes or Neanderthals. I'm looking at human beings with the bigger skulls and different features and whatnot. You're saying no, but while I can't screen share it now, I can show you plenty of videos of scientists being accused of forging or tampering with fossil records.
No, there are a few instances in the past where there have been forgeries. You're probably thinking of things like Piltdown Man, but those are the minority. But the majority of fossils have been confirmed and tested, and we found multiples of these species. Neanderthal, for instance, we have hundreds to thousands of individuals preserved in the fossil record, and we can actually.
I'm aware of the fossil record, which I don't trust.
I know you don't believe anything except the Bible. Okay.
No, we're not talking about the Bible right now. We're just talking science right now. If I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong about this because I don't have the numbers in front of me, human beings and the distance between chromosomes between us and, let's say, tobacco would be about 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken. I think humans is like 43 chromosomes, and tobacco is supposed to be 48, or it's 45 and 43, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, chromosome numbers are irrelevant.
Okay, but that's an argument that evolutionists like to use to try to argue for evolution.
No, it isn't.
No, it's not. Hey, real quick, I got a super chat. I got to read this real quick because I have a little thing. Anybody has a super chat? Hang on, G-Man. Wait, G-Man. G-Man, I'm sorry to interrupt. You're interrupting me. I have a super chat, and when I have a super chat, I have to read it out, as you guys know, because people are donating to my channel. Because that's what I have to say this. So Thomas Brody for $5 said, G-Man is proof we're related to bananas because he inherited the IQ of one. So thank you, bro, Thomas.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I think banana's slightly higher.
Higher IQ.
Yeah, but thank you for that super chat. It was very nice.
Go ahead. You said that chromosomes is not used as proof for evolution. Let me see something here. I think it is stated clearly that makes that argument. If I'm not mistaken, I think I Googled it and found at least 40 or 50 different atheist sites that tries to argue the chromosome argument. So I think you should do a little bit of research. Matter of fact, on my channel alone, I got a bunch of atheists arguing the chromosome argument over and over and over.
Okay, how many chromosomes do humans have? How many chromosomes do humans have?
If I'm not mistaken, and like I said, I didn't have the numbers in front of me, I believe human beings have either 43 or 45, and I believe tobacco has 48. Now, wait a minute. I'm not done yet.
Stop. I'm not done yet. This is like you're just sitting here exposing your own ignorance and foolishness. No, we do not have 45 or 43. In fact, it would be really strange for us to have an odd number of chromosomes. If you know anything about mitosis and meiosis, we have 46 chromosomes. They are homologous to the 48 chromosomes.
Number in front of me. But if you want to be technical, I can get the numbers for you and show you the site if you want. I got a problem with that. I was just looking at it earlier today.
Yeah, I'm sorry, PZ. I gotta laugh at this. This is like awesome.
G-Man, do it. Show us the evidence, G-Man.
Wait, is he really saying we have an odd number of? Please, no.
I think so.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we have we have less chromosomes than tobacco. And you know what? Again, you guys got a lie to convince people about evolution. This is just proof. And I'll show you what I mean later on, Dragnet. You think you're funny right now, right?
G-Man.
I mean, I do tutor this stuff.
The bottom line is, you tutor it.
G-Man,
let PZ Meyer.
Let PZ Myers finish.
So yes, we have a different number of chromosomes in tobacco. We have a different number of chromosomes in fruit flies. We have a different number of chromosomes.
But there are more chromosomes.
Shut up and let him talk.
But chromosome number is irrelevant. Chromosome number is irrelevant. Chromosomes are basically filing cabinets for holding genes, and the number of filing cabinets does not determine the complexity of the organism.
So let me ask PZ Myers, and I already know the answer, but I want to get this out there. PZ, if I have, if I'm a diploid 2N46, and I, for some reason, the next couple generations they go to 44 due to chromosomal fusion or something like that, as long as there's the same genetic information there, does it really matter?
Yes, we have all kinds of examples of chromosome fusions in the human population. It happens routinely. So small variations in chromosome numbers that don't cause deletions or major duplications of the genetic information are fairly common.
So it does matter or it doesn't matter, though? Because you said yes, it matters.
It does not matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay, there you go. That's what I want. Okay.
Irrelevant.
I mean, there is a man living in China that's 44 chromosomes. There's a family living in Finland, I believe it is, that has 9 generations of 44 chromosomes.
Oh yeah, if you read the Journal of Heredity, they're constantly publishing examples of even weirder arrangements of chromosomes.
But they're still humans. So G-Man doesn't think they're humans,
still humans,
I guess.
can speak for
I hope he
myself,
doesn't think
but I do want to say this though. My argument was, since tobacco has more chromosomes than human beings, if you believe in evolution, the human beings have to evolve.
Why?
That's pretty much my point.
That's
stupid.
That's
you can say it's stupid all you want, but listen to me. At least
because it is.
It's stupid. It really is stupid on multiple different levels of stupidity.
If you think that that's what evolution says, you don't understand how chromosomes
has
work.
come to my channel and has made this claim that we're related.
Why do we care who goes to your
is it
channel
okay?
to make claims? You're talking to like PZ Myers as a PhD in this. Why do we care who goes to your channel? You're saying some things that are completely idiotic, and PZ's pointing them out to you. You're saying stupid stuff, G-Man. Yes, you are. There's no doubt about it.
You're giving me this is what we think. You haven't provided a drop of evidence yet.
Actually, I was in a side chat talking to
I have a question for G-Man in regards to this chromosome counting.
Are we talking about Christianity right now? Or are we talking secular right now, hon? I just want to know right off the back.
No. In fact, it's going to be a Bible question, because you believe that Adam and Eve are specially created. There's no evolution involved. So
no, wait a minute. According to the Bible,
yes,
not according to
yes,
a metaphor,
according to your interpretation of the Bible, that's what you hold to.
My interpretation?
Yeah. So here's my question. Here's my question. Why then, if you believe that chromosome count, the higher the count, the more complexity there is, then why does Adam and Eve have 46, and yet others have more chromosomes, other organisms that are less, according to the Bible, that are less and subservient to Adam and Eve? Why is that the case?
How do you know how many chromosomes Adam and Eve has? Give me the chapter and verse.
Are they human?
Don't you believe they're human?
Human, you fucktard.
You think, how many chromosomes do you think they have?
To bananas.
I don't even know how to. He could even like not suggest that there would be 46.
Well, they have a 2n plus. That's why.
The chimpanzee that has 48.
The Bible's my authority.
Are you suggesting, G-Man, are you suggesting that the higher the chromosome count, the better the organism?
Okay, so I'm assuming that you're saying that you were wrong about.
Or more, the most evolved is the organism is if the organism has a higher chromosome count than, in this case, humans.
Is that what you're saying, G-Man?
Me to a technicality. I can do the same thing. I have no problem with that.
G-Man, are you saying?
So you have no problem that you have no problem that
show me a drop of it.
So then why don't chimpanzees rule the world, since they have 48?
And some have 50. Some what is it? The Malaysian apes have 50. They're a type of gibbon.
Yes.
They're lesser rate. They're lesser rate. They'll have a tie-dye, but
I already pointed out that I believe in microevolution. You guys believe in macro. I actually believe in science. You guys believe in some fairy.
I don't think he understands.
I don't think he understands the question. Yeah. See, this is what happens.
I believe in variations within the kinds. You guys believe.
Okay, when
it's not evidence of evolution.
No such thing as a kind.
Yeah, when G-Man starts going down a tangent, you can tell he doesn't understand the topic. And this is the problem we had when it's any first grade level stuff. G-Man doesn't understand it, so he has to go to somewhere else. It is pretty basic.
I think G-Man does understand.
I don't think it does. Christian, nothing new there. That's your purpose.
I think G-Man does understand. G-Man, just give a summation of what they just said.
Good luck with that.
Do that. I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to get nobody a summation.
I tell you what, you give a summation of what we've been saying. I will apologize to you and say, G-Man, you are a lot smarter than I thought you were. I will say it on air. It's never going to happen.
You need to work on your impotence.
Yeah, my impotence?
Spell impotence.
Yeah, your impotence.
Spell it.
No, you need Viagra. That's science too.
Can I ask a question?
All right, go ahead. We're gonna change it up again. There's been people waiting to talk. Kelsley, go ahead.
Attacking me, and I won't go after you.
Go ahead, Kels.
Okay, so G-Man.
Yeah.
I have a very complex question. Okay, so there is a phenomenon where when a woman has, say, 4 to 5 sons, she tends to gain a defense against having male children, right? And
no, I don't know that. I don't know
typically, this is where you get gay men is when this defense is strongest, or this is when the female will have a female child because they're finally overcoming the male dominant genes from the male that they're getting it from, right?
Not necessarily.
Well, no.
You might have like
it does happen sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, under the creationist argument, then, since this has been shown to, at least to some extent, to occur or be a factor, you're saying that it was designed in that way to do that.
What does this got to do with evolution?
I'm not familiar with this, but if PZ or RJ or CRISPR know about this,
talking about.
Yeah, I am not familiar with
The
this.
only thing I know about,
I don't know what you're
if
talking about.
Will, just a minute. That the more sons a woman has, the more likely that one of the younger sons is going to be gay. And I can get you the link to the paper for that.
You know, I have actually heard about something like that, but the younger son being gay. I actually have heard that before. I don't know the reasoning.
I don't believe that, by the way.
But I don't.
The question is a good question.
Right.
And also, if there is a component to homosexuality that's passed along the maternal line, and that's why you'll have the nieces, the nephews pop up in that context. They haven't identified yet a comparable one for lesbians, but they've only been looking less time.
Yeah, I just think that's a great question, actually. But I think
I'd like to have that paper, Jacob.
I might not have worded it well, but
no, that's fine. But the problem is you're asking G-Man complexities that he doesn't even know what a chromosome is, I don't think, right? So, I mean, you're asking somebody to answer questions that's beyond his purview, to say the least.
How many personal attacks are you going to meet while I'm in here, bro? I mean, I know it's
quite a few, actually, but they're not personal attacks. These are G-Man, G-Man, these are demonstrations that you have given to people.
I can personal attack you again if you want. I'm going to have fun with you.
I am pointing out the obvious that you're an idiot. That is not that's just a fact that we all have come to conclude.
I'm an idiot. Yeah, I'm an idiot. So what's your
that
point?
doesn't prove evolution.
But it doesn't. You're right, Jungle. You're right, Jungle. You are absolutely right. It does. His idiocy does not prove evolution. I will grant you that. Yes.
Okay. So the question that he asked had nothing to do with evolution. That was an intelligent design question he asked. So first of all, you got to wait a minute.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Right, Nut? I hope you're watching it, bro. I don't want to hear no complaining later, bro. I don't want to hear you complaining later. So I'm going to say this again. He made a claim. He said that after a woman has a certain amount of kids, I believe the fifth or the sixth child, if
there's a higher probability they'll be gay.
Yeah, I'm not finished, okay? Where is your evidence?
Jade has the paper. She just said she had the paper.
In order to even
have the paper.
Jade, do you have the paper on that he won't read because he doesn't know how to get past the title? Yes, Jungle. We know it. We know it does. Jungle. We know it doesn't prove evolution.
I'm for it now.
All right.
Honestly, I think liars. I think every last one of you, minus Jungle Jargon, is a bunch of liars in this. I can't even get an answer out of my question. He ran around the block and
I'm ready with the
you know what? I'll tell you what.
Steve, I do shout out.
Yeah, hang on one second. Hang on one second. Jungle Jargon. G-Man, shut up. I don't think Jungle Jargon is a liar either. I don't think he's very bright. I like Jungle Jargon. I've known Jungle Jargon for a very long time. Very many years. G-Man, was I talking to you?
You're the dumbest person in this room and you know it.
Okay, was I talking to you? Yes, Jungle Jargon is inherently.
I want to do a shout out.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to mute you because you're just driving me nuts. Jungle Jargon, I just want to point out that I never thought you were deceptive and I never thought you were a liar. I don't think you understand the most rudimentary forms of science, but I've never said you were a liar or deceptive. Now have I? Because I don't think you are. But go ahead. Do your shout out, JD.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say hi to Easy Myers and G-Man.
How you doing, Jungle? Jungle, we got to get together. We only live about a couple of miles from each other.
Right.
That's how quantum singularity forms, by the way.
I think Easy Myers pretty mellow today.
He's out of vodka, so that may change here in a minute.
I have to point
he
out.
has to be nominated for the dumb blink.
Why would
Dumb what?
Dumb fuck of the year? No. Why would PZ Myers be nominated? Why would PZ Myers be nominated?
Look how you're acting right now.
G-Man, there's been 3 winners to Dumb Fuck of the Year. There's been
You're gonna
Duranism.
win it this year. I'm gonna talk the red line. You're gonna win it this year.
You can nominate me.
Duranism
won. You won the first one. Then it was Duranism, and then it was
that award doesn't really have anything. That is a stupid award where red line attacks people who's whooped this behind in debates. That's all he cares about. All right?
PZ,
sure thing.
Okay,
sure thing.
Hey,
And
PZ,
everybody knows he ain't running game with nobody here.
hang on. PZ, do you know what the Dumb Fuck of the Year award is? Have you heard of that?
I have no idea, but I've got a nominee.
Oh, well, let me give you a really quick synopsis. Basically, Red's Rhetoric has a channel debunking flat earthers. And every year we have a panel that get together of 10 people that we've kind of handpicked to nominate people for the Dumb Fuck. And you can as well. We have a major panel and nominate. And that person, people vote, and they have videos. They have 10 videos, and all you got to do is click the video, like or dislike, and the person who has the highest amount of votes is the Dumb Fuck of the Year. You can only win once, though, because obviously G-Man would win every year, so he can't be nominated again. But he was the recipient of that award. It's a very coveted award. People vie for this, man. I'm telling you, there is stiff competition in dumb fuckery for this. This is not your average award.
I have one person I'm especially vying for this year.
Who?
Anthony Riley.
Anthony Riley, he didn't win. I mean, he was like middle last year.
He's done. He's done much better this year.
Is he? Is he? I think C. Brown is up for the #1 spot.
I've compiled an entire list for anyone, so I can like read it and like sell him as the dumb fuck of this year.
Let me run this by Landon and PZ. By the way, welcome, Landon.
Sure thing.
I love you, brother. He said that he believes that the heavier elements like uranium and plutonium were created from lightning strikes and what's called Z-pinch, which is a real thing. Z-pinch does exist. But he basically said that lightning creates fusion and uranium gets produced by lightning strikes.
We don't see the gamma rays from such lightning strikes. We do see X-rays on return strikes on rare occasions, but we don't see the gamma rays that would be indicative of such fusion.
Can you imagine what that would be for uranium? Oh, it's raining uranium! Hello!
Might I actually mention that I didn't realize how much evidence there was for the claim that I made at the time?
Yeah, you have the nail on the head. But that's some dumb fuckery right there. We had a plasma physicist come on, Dr. Antoine Brett, a friend of ours. And he came in and explained how incredibly asinine stupid that was. And yet people are still like, G-Man, oh yeah, well, that must be true because C. Brown said it. No, no, it's not.
We did it. We did some studies where we were looking at return lightning strikes, and we actually were using Chandra X-ray telescope pointing back at Earth to look at what gets generated on lightning strikes. And there are cases where you can get up into some X-rays when you get what's called a return flash back up. But nothing approaches the gammas that you would get if you were.
Landon, I love you, brother. You're taking this way too seriously.
I'm just saying. I'm talking about the data that I helped.
Look, you're talking about somebody who honestly believes that the craters on the moon were created by ejecta from Earth during the flood.
Yes, that is God's truth.
Oh, that's pretty special.
Which is generally referred in this community as the lunar bukkake theory.
That's nothing. Well, PZ Myers definitely
out the idea that Archangel Michael in the lightning bolt attacks on Satan in the early stages is responsible for the craters on the moon. So there's a long tradition of woo there.
Well, PZ Myers well familiar. I'm pretty sure he remembers Nephilim Free, right?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So Nephilim Free is actually one that came up with that, and Nephilim Free is back and about. He already had his first video up, which ironically was a slam against me for whatever the fucking reason. And it was pretty comical because I had actually got a hold of Nephi in order to be a guest on the Geek Room, and because they invited me to be a guest on it, and I said sure, and it was to trounce on one of his videos, Nephi's videos. I said, you know what, let's be fair, I'll get a hold of Nephi, and if Nephi wants to come on and defend himself, let's do it. And he thought I was trying to get a hold of him to debate him because he's tried to debate me for years, and the fact was, I was like, no, Nephi, this has nothing to do with me debating you. This is the Geek Room, which is kind of like the Drunken Peasants, wants you to come on so they can rip on you in your video, and I'm kind of going to enjoy that. And he made a video saying that I was a complete liar, that I contacted him to try to debate him, and then I somehow weaseled my way out of it. I'm like, wow. Just wow. That's the level of duplicity that this guy actually resorts to. But that was the guy that came up with the lunar macaque theory.
That's fascinating. I haven't heard. I mean, you know, to be fair, 50 to 75 years ago, many, a non-trivial number of astronomers would say that a number of the origins of the lunar craters were volcanic, lunar volcanic. But you know, we've learned since then.
Well, let me ask you something.
During the debate, I actually mentioned lunar macaque because Kent said how the water came up from the ground and flooded the entire world, and it's like, where'd all the water go then?
Well, so here's a question.
Is he fucking gone?
Hang on.
How can you get water shot with that kind of velocity through the atmosphere?
Test. I think Thunderfoot did test on
right,
this.
Because
it came to 28
it'll
miles.
hit the atmosphere and expand.
Well, I think
it got hit by a large asteroid. That would make craters.
I definitely think somebody did an experiment on this, and I think it was Thunderfoot. They came with a maximum of 28 miles that it would be ejecta, would be the maximum.
Well, here, when Fiona and I spoke to him, I said, I think there's a little bit of an issue with what you're trying to say, Neffy. I think there's a problem. It starts with an E. And so he interrupted me 50 times, G-Man style. I said, you know what, Neffy? What's the word I'm going to use? It starts with an E. Well, I guess I don't know. I said, it's enthalpy. Like, when you're trying to put energy into the system for this proposed event, where did the energy come from? And then after the work was done, where did it go? Oh, well, there was an ice age going on at the same time, and so the ice age canceled out the heat. I almost fell over my fucking chair.
That's the question, though. Hang on one second. That's the question I asked Kent, though, in that debate. If you guys hadn't noticed, it was how much heat would be produced for that canopy theory, or how much heat would be produced for all the rain. And we know that the enthalpy of that would produce superheated steam that would liquefy the crust of the Earth. There's so much energy released.
I mean,
and they got to form rock. They gotta slosh all this crap in to make the Grand Canyon. Apparently, they don't worry about anywhere else, and it's got to turn into rock fast enough for then the water to come down from the little lake that drains to produce the canyon. None of that has ever been organized in their own thinking. It's a mess.
Go ahead, CRISPR.
Well, it's
was
like
washed out before it hardened.
Thank you, guys.
It's like people have never seen. It's like people have never seen water boil.
All right, thank you, buddy.
Like if you've ever seen water boil, you know, it comes out as steam. It doesn't come out as pillars of liquid water that are superheated, right? Like that's just not the way it works. It comes out.
Yeah, I'd have geysers in my spaghetti all the time.
Well, you got to remember it was this group that one of them actually had said that 2,000 degrees centigrade water would be liquid at atmospheric temperature, and we, for the life of us, were trying to figure out how in God's name would that occur. Somebody actually did the math. You did the math.
There's your answer. It was in God's name.
It was 27 gigapascals of pressure in order to keep that amount of
that is a heck of an atmosphere.
That's a lot of fucking pressure. You'd be squashed flat.
Well, Steve,
that's how you make diamonds.
I don't know if I agree with a superheated steam theory.
It's not theory. It's not basic physics. There's no theory involved. Well, I guess so. It's heat theory.
The biblical flood, the superheated steam that went up in the atmosphere, or whatever, or past the atmosphere.
It couldn't go past the atmosphere.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
hit the moon.
If you're
I don't really believe that. I mean, I don't see any evidence for that. I believe that the continent is separated.
Even JJ has his limits.
Good for you.
Even JJ has his limits. Yes.
Well, we have to remember that flood geology evolves over time because they have to constantly rearrange things to get past the next problem. And so now
the flood happened in one couple of months.
Yeah, according to the dogma, yeah. The problem is that the idea that continents can start racing around. The current model, for example, they present at the Creation Museum is that the Rodinia supercontinent is pre-flood, and then Pangaea occurs very briefly post-flood. But they don't bother too much about the fiddly details.
Well, that's the current one because that's what I think the continent is separated after the flood.
Nope, they didn't.
Yeah, because that's what the evidence.
And we don't
flood.
We don't see in the in for example the magnetic stripes coming out of the mid-Atlantic ridge. We don't see that speed of passage because we can date the material from the Atlantic ridge going out, and we can see the magnetic polar reversals going back and forth.
Do you know how fast the polar reversals were?
Yes.
Yeah.
We actually have a counting of them. We can actually look on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge and see how many hundred thousand years it's reversed. It's a very cyclic process.
Why are the reversals together? Why are the reversals next to each other?
Let's do Occam's razor. I think your assumption that God exists is a pretty big assumption.
No, it's not an assumption. To me, it's more of an observation.
Which God did you have in mind?
God?
No,
the evidence of God. I mean, you can't see the maker of matter, but you can see the evidence of the maker of matter.
No.
Where was India during the flood, Jungle?
During the flood?
Yeah, during the flood.
It was probably pretty close to where it's at, but it's probably not exactly. It wasn't exactly.
I know exactly where it was 65 million years ago, and I know where it was 95 million years ago, and I know
clearly the answer.
And furthermore,
clearly the answer is
magnetic domains. We know its path, we know its orientation as it moves forward.
Well, where did it move from? Antarctica?
Yep.
Yep.
Well,
it went along
but it was all
that bumped into a hot spot that produced a bunch of volcanic deposits on the east side of India, and it deflected north, and it stayed on that northward trajectory. And at the time of the dinosaurs, it was passing across the Seychelles Islands hotspot, and we know that because the other half of that very distinctive deposit is still down in the middle of the Indian Ocean. So we know exactly where it was. And then, of course, it continued up, shrank the Tethys Ocean, eventually started pushing up the Himalayas, and at that time, you end up, that's the reason why you find whale fossils in Pakistan.
Hey, Jungle, question for you. Have you ever moved house?
What?
Have you ever moved house?
Moved house?
You know, moved from one house to another?
Many times. I'm from South America.
Did it take a while to move all your stuff out somewhere else?
One time I moved from one side of the street to the other side of the street.
Okay, but did it take you a while to move everything from one place to another?
It took a while.
Yeah, okay. Well, India's huge. Imagine how long it took to move that.
Now,
Depends what was
didn't
moving
have to
it.
go across the street either.
Part of the
Depends
problem
what
is
was moving it.
if you just invoke miracles and say we're just going to bypass physics and do whatever, then you might as well just leave it at that and not try to pretend that physics is going to support what it is you're trying to do.
Landon, we call that element 119.
Science is based on not miracles. Science is based on not miracles. It's not based on miracles.
Well,
Actually, I can give you a monetary proof that young Earth creationism is wrong. There is not an oil company on Earth that uses flood geology to find oil.
There's actually
one. There's one. There's one.
Well, I mean, technically, it doesn't anymore, does it?
No, they revive. Okay, the Zion Oil and Gas. They did use the old Earth model. They had 4 dry wells. Their stock went to shit, like $1 something. Yeah. And then they said, okay, we cannot sustain this anymore. We have to use at least the premise that the Earth is
Israel
old.
just found oil reserves. Meanwhile, Israel just found oil reserves.
What does that have to do with Zion Oil? The methodology they were using did not work. In fact, you cannot, to my knowledge,
Israel's not that big, though.
There's no young Earth creationist model that I can see that explains and predicts to any degree, especially in comparison to the models that we do have. They just don't.
Yeah, and they can't account for interbedded volcanic ash.
Hey, Steve, when we get a second, do you mind if I ask Dr.
Hi,
Myers a question?
Please do. Please do.
Just before you do, I need to leave, but I just want to say, PZ, I didn't really get to talk to you. I hope we do get to talk sometime, but it was an honor to see you facepalm. So,
a couple times.
I'll see y'all later.
Thank you.
I think after a while.
I think PZ is listening, but he went to go to some more vodka, possibly. I think, which I don't blame him.
Okay.
At all.
PZ is currently draining the entire country of Russia.
I would like to
do you mind if I answer? Sorry, do you mind if I ask a question, Steve?
Yeah, go ahead, Jungle. Hang on.
See you later.
Go ahead, Saka. Thank you, Hiller. You're awesome.
So, sorry, is it PZ Myers or can I call you Dr. Myers? Or do you prefer?
PZ. He's just PZ's fine.
Oh, PZ. Okay. So, just out of curiosity, when you come across people like our friend G-Man there, do you have any hopes of changing their mind, or you just kind of, when you deal with people that are that fundamental in their beliefs, you just kind of hope to get it with the next generation as an educator?
No, I have no hope for people like G-Man. The only way he's going to learn is if he learns himself. That is, he has to take it seriously, ask questions, and do the studying on his own. And I have no confidence that he would.
I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I know, I'm almost absolutely certain about this, that he will now twist exactly what you said to say, there was this guy and he believes we came from bananas.
Absolutely. Oh, guaranteed. Just like he did, just like he did with the whole atheist thing in me. He will do that. That's what he does.
I think it's
my
interesting.
My alerts flashing big time on him.
I think it's interesting too that if you talk to Wayne before he dropped the young Earth creationist stuff, right? Like, you could tell that there was enough going on upstairs with Wayne that he was going to work his way out, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. I had hope for him.
You don't get that from G-Man.
Why do you think I took the time invested?
Right, yeah, exactly.
I turned down how many people asking me to debate them because I didn't want to, and I did with Wayne.
He's smart, right?
Yeah, like, because I thought he would listen. And
like you hear when you heard him talk about that stuff, it's like he can't actually believe this. He just hasn't heard the evidence yet because he didn't sound like somebody who was, who was like, I don't want to say not a true believer, but he just hadn't heard it yet.
I mean, he certainly, has some aspects of a troll, but the other aspects are that when you call him on his logical fallacies, he just reverts. They have the answer, and everything else is going to go and be force fit to that structure until they either have a crisis of faith or they die. And that's unfortunately the intellectual suicide that they have to commit to sustain it, as opposed to simply just saying, hey, miracles, end of it. It's when they try to then rationalize.
I'm right here. Prove evolution to me. I'm right here.
Yeah, we're not going down that route.
Anybody?
Mindlessly.
Yeah, we're not going there. We're not going there.
Let me talk to PZ Myers. Let me talk to PZ Myers.
I've been here for about 2 years, and the entire time that I've known JJ, he has, every time he asks, prove evolution to me, prove evolution to me, he never listens.
Right, and I'm exactly, and I'm done with that. I had a 4-hour conversation with JJ. I had a 4-hour conversation.
You ignore it.
I had a 4-hour conversation with JJ on general relativity, and by the time I got done, I lost the will to live.
So watch this.
You think I'm kidding? I was depressed. I was depressed for humanity.
I got a better one on relativity.
I want to know: can I ask JJ? Is general relativity relation to General Han Solo?
Yes.
What?
We have two generals here. We have General Han Solo and General Zod.
I got a question for Crocoduck.
Yeah,
I got a question.
They share common. The only relation we have with each other is that we both train on the farm.
By the way, I got 2 things I got to bring up real quick.
I have a question for Crocoduck.
Hang on, Crocoduck's not here. Crocoduck's not here. General, hang on.
Oh, he's not here?
Yeah, he's not here. 2 things I got to bring up. One, Bill, are you there? Because you were off my screen. Now that you're way in the corner over here. Now that
Mr. Ludlow.
Billy. Okay, he needs to fix his mic. I wasn't sure. Go ahead and refresh. He's got the cool goatee like I've got.
Okay. Well, Steve, while we're waiting, I'd just like to point out to Landon and to PZ that G-Man's behavior here tonight He was very well behaved.
Oh yeah, exceptionally. Oh, exceptionally. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, exceptionally. I'm happy. Yeah.
This was the. He was on his best behavior.
He really
tonight.
was.
This is the best
Yeah,
I've ever
I
seen
agree.
him.
Yeah.
This is probably.
You think we're kidding?
Three quarters full G-man, probably.
Yeah.
Three quarters.
Yeah. Maybe 3/4.
Bill here is a paleontologist.
I'm sorry. The ass is half empty.
Yeah, Bill is a paleontologist. He actually going to be one of the ones debating Hovind in next month. So I kind of wanted to talk to him prior because, you know, his area is in a field that we all like, but I can't hear him. So you might want to refresh. But while we're waiting for that, Landon, I got you here, and I said the next time I see you, I was going to ask you a question. And
sure.
I could be wrong on this. If I am, God, whatever. You know, it happens. But would you put 0.99 repeating or 2.0 in the set of Z?
So you're saying, about 0.9999.
Right, infinite repeating decimal, or just something like a terminating, like 2.0, because it maps to an actual integer. Would you actually put it in as a set of Z, and if that's the case, then R and C as well?
Well, I think what you're saying is 1 equivalent to 0.9 ...
Well, we already know that. That's
answer is yeah. So the values, the integer, the integer values are in Z or Z, depending on where you are on the Great Divide. But when you talk about decimal representations, right? There's 2 decimal representations for one. The unit value.
Right. See, I placed
so there's 1 unit value in this in Z, and you can express it in.
So if I say 2.0, that's still an integer, is it not? 0.99 repeating is still an integer. It's just a weird looking integer, but it's an integer because it falls in Z because it maps to 1. Okay.
Now programming wise.
Yeah, different thing. Yeah, don't go there.
Languages is a different deal, right? If you talk about the set of ints.
Yeah, floating point integers.
Computers don't use real numbers. They have weird numbers.
I wanted to make sure you're the math guy, and I think most of us said that. One person disagreed, so I wanted to get a fact check.
Could I retort to that, Stephen?
EO's in here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. You know what? Shit, it got real. EO's.
No.
Come on, EO.
For example, you wouldn't call x to the 4th minus 16 over x squared plus 4 a polynomial. You'd call that a rational function, even though we all know it's equivalent to x squared minus 4. So as soon as you write a decimal representation, look at any number theory book. It's true that 2 is equivalent to 2.0, but you will never see in any book on number theory 2.0 written as a decimal. So just follow my example. You would not call x to the 4th minus 16 divided by x squared plus 4 a function. A polynomial. You'd call that a rational function. So I beg to differ.
Jesus Christ.
See, I've actually seen in a citation where they actually used an example of a terminating decimal that's past the point of the decimal itself, right? It was like let's say 2.0. And it's asking, what do you put this in? And it was part of Z. I remember that.
And you have to really look at the difference between a representation and the value, because the two aren't equivalent. So, for example, right, a common mistake people say is that pi is never ending, right? And what they should say is pi in decimals never ending, because pi and base pi is 10.
It's 10. It's 10, right. Okay.
Pi and base pi is 10. 1, 0. 2 digits, right? You have a nice finite representation of pi in base pi, and it's 10. Why? Because what are those digits? The digits are coefficients of a polynomial. So what you end up doing is you have 2 polynomials, one an infinite series, other express value, that happen to be equivalent, but it's 2 different ways of representing some.
Can we see your whiteboard real quick? This is this kind of shit that Landon does for fun. I mean, this is like just play stuff to him. Let me see if I can present him.
So the circle is part of the whole.
We need to get Ronnie to explain this to us. So if you could get a hold of Ronnie, True Empiricism, I would love to have you even look at this and even begin to explain
these
it.
are part of Legendre symbols and primality proofs on how to evaluate.
Landon, are you able then? Is Landon able to do the math on the diameter of the circumference of pi?
I knew it was coming. What? I didn't quite understand what
Nobody does. Nobody does.
Steve Landon's a computer scientist, right?
Yeah, he's a computer scientist, mathematician, and astronomer. He's a pretty smart dude.
I've been struggling with this problem for the last couple of years, Landon. Is binary 0, 1, 2, 3, or is it 0 and 1?
Binary is typically the name for base 2, which the canonical representation of base 2 is 0s and 1s. However, there are, for example, permitted representations where you go beyond the base. For example, you could, for example, in an octal, right? You can say, well, what is the symbol 9 in octal? And the answer is it's equivalent to the symbol 11 in octal, as an example. So
we're having fun at someone's expense.
Those are base conversions, though. Those are base conversions.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I got I think a more pertinent question. When does the value of pi change when you're going from, like, say, one culture to the other?
I think maybe you have to ask certain SJWs about the value of pi and whether it's the patriarchy versus the non-patriarchy.
And what is the
inside versus the outside?
The claim that Trimperism had made was the value of pi is dependent upon what system of measurement you use. Yeah, we all kind of went, what? Jungle was the only one that agreed, going, yeah, Ronnie, that makes sense.
Figure out a set of axioms that get me there. But
doesn't that throw pi power plus 1 equals 0 out of whack if you start tinkering with pi?
Well, for instance, if you measure by using a broken ruler.
Yeah,
sure.
Well, I remember some guy going to college and showing how if you use thick lines, the value of pi can be like fuzzed. Right?
Hey, Bill, is your mic working now?
Like magic markers or something like that. Well, or chalk. Right?
Go ahead, Bill. I barely heard you.
You can't hear me now? It's barely working.
Yeah, it's not that great. You sound like you're in a tin can.
That's not near a whole number, though.
On a microphone.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out. If you're gonna debate Hovind, we're gonna have to figure out your mic situation.
Yeah, and I've done it before. Not had any problems. I don't know why I've got a problem now.
It's a Walmart connection.
Well, pi isn't close to a whole number, though.
The fuck? Wait, what are you talking about, double jargon?
Pi isn't near a whole number.
Well, it depends on what near is.
Yeah, define near.
Near is within 0.2, then yes.
Yeah, 3.1415926533589792322, whatever. Yeah, I had it like memorized to the 20th decimal place one time.
But it's still, no matter how
it's near 3.
It's not near a whole number.
3 is a whole number.
That is a problem. How, Jungle?
3 is a whole number, Jungle.
Why is that a problem, Jungle?
I don't know.
Because it's not near a whole number. It's not an actual number.
What problem does that have?
Pi is not an actual number?
Well, as was just explained while you were here, it's exactly a whole number if you use base pi.
Yeah, it's 10.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
It'd be 1 0.
What is base pi? Because I'm an idiot. I don't know.
Well, what's
okay? So
here is you talk about what's base 10. Well, you've got when you talk about the number 123, it's 1 times 10 to the third plus 2 times 10 to the first plus 1 times 10 to the second plus 2 times 10 to the first plus 3 times 10 to the 0. Right? It's the coefficients. Right. So instead of having your polynomial based upon 10. Your base is pi.
Okay, gotcha.
So 10 is 1 times pi to the first plus 0 times pi to the 0.
Gotcha.
When I hear base pi, base 10, I think log base 10, which is, I think, isn't that the state for all natural logs? Am I getting that correct?
I mean, the log is really saying what value do you have to put in the exponent to get a...
Oh, but that's a good question, Landon. I'm going to ask you this because this is actually a decent question because I've been out of school for a very long time. But where did all of a sudden natural log and log 10 become kind of a synonymous thing?
I thought E was the basis of natural logarithms.
It is, but I mean, when you see log, log, in some types of math, it is to be interpreted as a natural logarithm.
That's how I was taught.
It's certainly ambiguous. I mean, usually, this notion of log base E being ln is a relatively recent is in the last couple of centuries thing. If you look at early things where they were talking about exponents and base and so forth, the logarithm was used as far as the decimal calculation, and so somewhere along the line, people got tired of saying log with a subscript e or log subscript 10, and just decided that ln was going to be reserved for natural e log.
So it was just basically laziness.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I would say convention. Like, okay, so
but you can, there's a proof for it, right?
I mean, laziness is the source of all of the symbols and formatting and everything.
Yeah,
the thing is,
laziness.
You can actually work in log base 10 to solve out certain calculations. You just have to know how to do the algebra.
Yeah.
To work out.
If I may, E, I believe it was Euler coined the subscript, the lowercase e. It was just a coincidence. E is short for Euler, but my understanding is engineers and physicists, when they hear log, they think log base 10. But the higher you go in pure mathematics, in any mathematics field, log will mean log base c. That's my understanding.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff when you're dealing with real analysis, log base e doesn't have all these constants and so forth. You have to throw in on conversion. It's because it's the thing that it's in calculus, E is a much more natural set. But if you're dealing with finance, people don't really talk about E dollars or E euros. They talk about base 10 stuff. So
when would you use?
I was about to say that. I was about to say that.
Go ahead,
E and natural logs are actually quite the go-to sort of method in differential equations. So to solve differential equations.
Can I jump in for a minute? James, Landon, and PZ, thank you. I have to go.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm curious, where would you use base pi?
When you're being snarky, when someone says pi never ends, and what's the last digit of the pi?
That's when you bring it up.
And I say 0, and they say, how do you know that? Well,
what do you do when somebody says in base 10? Let's assume base 10. They say pi is an infinite number, and it's like you're trying to explain to them, no, pi is finite. It just has an infinite decimal expansion. It's still finite because it exists between other finite real numbers.
Yeah, because it's a transcendental number, you cannot other than base pi that all other polynomials, because that's what digits are going to not get you pi. You can't if pi was a non-transcendental number, then there exists some polynomial formula you can plug into it to get.
We've lost 90% of our viewers. Just FYI.
I was about to say,
soon on math. It's done. It's done.
By the way, the concept
I'm totally enjoying this stuff
of natural logarithms. Certainly it shows up. You start seeing it in like 1649 to 1668, and you have, for example, Mercator. The Mercator projection stuff was talked about natural logarithms and so forth, and I believe also St. Vincent also was back in those days. There were other people that were dealing with there, but there's a really nice thing in Wikipedia that happens to be reasonably factually accurate, called the history of logarithms. If you do Wikipedia on history of logarithms, you'll get some very interesting stuff about the history and the names and that sort of thing.
All I can say is the sanity that has now entered into this room is curing.
I know Landon brings a sense of grounding when he comes in, right? Yeah. It's like.
By the way, I also kind of disappointed in terms of on the debate on the cosmologist, the whole distance stuff.
Did you watch the debate, Landon? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched chunks of the debate.
Okay.
being one of those people that actually measures this stuff, right? The business about how do we calibrate the supernovae distances? We use three things. We use Cepheid variables, other Lyra stars, and we use variations of the basically the slope of the curve. So there are these stars that essentially the rate of pulsation is proportional to the rate of the energy, and you think of it as what happens with pulsars, particular pulsing stars like Cepheids and Lyra stars, are that the more energetic stars will begin to, the core will heat up, the star will expand, and expands, it rarefies the core, it diminishes and it collapses back in, right? So the stars, the pulsing stars that are relatively benign will pulse very slowly, right? The ones that are very energetic will heat up, expand fast, and then there's a reduction of material in the core, and they'll collapse, and you get this pulsing back and forth, fairly rapid, right? So the Cepheid variables that pulse fast are ones that are intrinsically brighter than those that pulse slow. So it's think like a string, right? So the spring with more tension is going to bounce back and forth. Now we have these Lyra stars and Cepheid variables that are close enough that we can use parallax, the Earth going around the sun, in order to calibrate. So there are several of these pulsing stars that we can, by trigonometry, get absolute distance to, and that's where we discovered that these two types of stars gives us the pulse rate gives us a notion of absolute brightness. So that's where Hubble looked at galaxies like Andromeda, and were with using things like the 100-inch telescope, Hooker telescope, was able to identify individual stars in the nearby galaxy of Andromeda, found ones that are Cepheid variables and Lyra stars, measured their pulse rate, and was able to measure the distance to Andromeda. And we've done that with a number of nearby galaxies as well. So there's enough overlap of nearby supernovae in galaxies that we can see pulsing stars, and that's how we do the bridge. So it starts with distance from Earth to the sun. Then that gives you your trigonometry to get you nearby stars, some of which pulse, and you look at the pulse and you calibrate the pulse rates. The ones that pulse faster are more energetic than the ones that pulse slower. You can see individual stars in nearby galaxies, and that's where you can then do the distance measurement. And by that time, so I have personally measured things on the order of about 2.7 million light years, which makes it kind of hard for people to talk about the universe being 6,000 years old. I've measured things directly that are farther than 6,000 light years. But
what about that star that exploded and the ejector went out supposedly faster than the speed of light?
It didn't. It was and things like that show you first of all, there are the notion of the material where you've got a beam that's sweeping, right? If I have a searchlight that I'm pointing up at the clouds and I flip the light this way, and the dot moves across the sky, it doesn't move across the sky at super speeds. It's the orientation of the light that changes. So I can point this way and flip it over to this way, and where I'm pointing to moves incredibly fast. But my finger isn't moving fast enough to speed of light. Similar sort of thing when you see these when you see.
But it still has to go there and back though, or there to here, right? I mean,
one moment there. So, okay. All right. Sorry, I was just making sure we have some servers going on.
But the light still has to go to that distance, right?
But when you flip the orientation, right? So if I've got light that takes let's say 1 light year to go to the edge of a cloud, right? I've got a beam going to the edge of a cloud, and the emitter flips over, right? And it can flip over very fast if the emitter is very compact, right? What will happen is that the light going here will start going like this, right? So that basically think of like the spray of light will as it spins over will eventually in 1 year hit over here, but someone outside might see this dot very quickly flip over to the other side, because it depends on where the light is striking the edge, right? So imagine, so imagine again. So someone outside seeing where my finger is. If you use the edge of the frame as this like 1 light year box, right? And I go like this, right? Now that my finger has to move that thing, but on the other hand, if I have an emitter that's sending stuff this way, right, and all of a sudden the emitter starts changing, right, it'll take a year for that light to reach the spot, but it might take even a fraction of a second for the thing to spin. So in 1 year you might see it here, and then a year later it'll be over here, but you might see that dot where it strikes flip over in 1 second. From the outside, it looks as if the dot is moving, but in fact, it's not.
In a nutshell, Jungle, it's not.
It's the same time to go that distance. It still takes the same time to go.
Exactly.
And the problem is, when you watch the video, it's the actual eject is moving out. You can see the clouds moving out.
The eject is not moving faster than the spill light.
No.
Can I just point out?
Obviously.
Do you know what a pulsar sounds like? It goes like this. It goes. That's the Vangelis joke. That's a Vangelis joke if you don't get that.
I was thinking because I mean, you'd have to be near enough to the pulsar to have the.
Well, you could do wasn't a Fourier transform or something to get it to digital sounds. But let me ask you, Landon, me and Drag actually sat with Casey last night, and Casey was actually going to have more of a presentation. And it used graphics and things of that nature. He decided today, before we went on air, not to utilize them. I think that was a good choice. One of the things we had brought up to him was that we were concerned that he might lose the audience by being technical. Obviously, we know Casey can get technical. I mean, but I think he made the right decision.
I wanted them to get technical, though.
But see that I don't think it would have done any good.
What he had was like people are dying hearing us talk about math now.
Yeah, it would have not worked.
Was going to fucking kill it.
We're talking.
Hold on, Steve. Are you saying that Casey would have lost the audience or would have lost Ken Hovind?
Well, he lost Ken Hovind with Equals Everything Squared.
Because I'm quite certain there's some people in the audience who could have followed along.
Sure,
but they may have been limping, but they still would have been following.
But I think the point was that before they were kind of saying that, look, we know they can get awfully technical. I don't think that would have really added anything to his presentation in this particular case. No. And do you agree, Landon?
Because the counterattack to that type of argument is, well, that defies common sense, right? And so if you try to explain something like relativity, if you try to explain inflation, if you try to explain cosmological constants and so forth, the other side can really revert back to. But common sense says,
Landon, Ken had accused him of using big words, and his big words were like the and.
But I had a question for Crocoduck.
No, 1 second. I just want to say something in regards to that presentation. So it's technically a debate between Casey and Kent. And at the same time, Kent's followers have always repeatedly heard Kent say that he's been teaching high school math and so on, which then I suppose if you want to stretch, like let's just say he has been teaching high school math, and let's just stretch the ability of that mathematical training, that at least he could teach maybe a form of multivariate calculus. At least let's just push it to that, that far. He would be able to follow the tensor calculus that Casey was obviously, that he prepared. in some respects, because Casey can, in some sense, dump it down a little bit, and then Kent can follow. So the point is, Kent would have to then debunk Casey's, arguments at a more technical level, and that would all the more be more like a win for Kent if he was able to do so, especially for his fans.
He didn't know E equals MC squared.
But possibly, but
No,
the
but
way that you
my
attack
point.
that.
The point is he claims to know the math. Let's just, imagine if we never knew this Kent guy, right? Imagine we don't know who he is. The claim that he's a PhD, and for the first Casey and Kent meet, Casey actually then uses material, and then comes Kent's statement that what's E equals MC squared. Do you know how stupid he would look? But that's my point. I want that to happen. I want him to show inadequacy.
I see what you're going with that, sure.
Yeah, can I bring a little point in about an example of math from Kent Hovind that was from my own experience?
Yeah, RJ.
Yeah, back in the 1990s, Kent was arguing that the sun was shrinking, and that if the sun were billions of years old, it would have burned up, obviously, hydrogen over that period. And if you retro-calculated it, the sun's size would be all the way out to the Earth's orbit and would be frying the Earth. Well, what he failed to do was a really obvious calculation, which is, you know how much hydrogen is, you know what the mass is, you know what the mass of the sun is, you know how much diameter is formed of the present mass. If he had done the long division, he could have easily calculated that the solar mass would have varied by only like 0.01% over billions of years. It's absolutely trivial, but he never thought to do that. So he's way below the calculus level. I don't know that anybody has ever seen him use a sophisticated mathematical calculation.
No, and in fact, one of the things that Casey was going to use, Casey was going to use the Schrodinger's wave function. He was going to use the Schwarzschild radius, which is not a complex formula. Most people here probably, we've all used it before. Not that hard to utilize. You can determine the sun. It's like 2.95 kilometers.
Yeah.
He was going to actually just use that, and I think that would have lost Kent. But
so I'll finally just say this. Casey did do a really good job. I'm not going to deny or be critical of what happened has happened. But in any of these conversations, maybe it's just me, but I just get really frustrated when we have to appeal to the common man, so to speak, or the layman. This stuff needs to be nipped in the butt right from the with technical details. Who cares about alienating a bunch of people? I want them to catch up to the material so that they can actually, see the point.
Yeah, I know.
I'm all about the technicalities of these arguments.
And we can have a hangout like that again. But let me ask, by the way, did PZ drop? I didn't notice.
Yeah, by the way, that's the formula for the Schwarzschild radius.
All right, I'll send a tweet out to him, Landon, thanking him for joining us. I think he really got it. I know he enjoyed it, even though his liver is probably going to,
Steve, I just like to retort here to James.
Yeah.
James, you want Ken Hovind to figure out the size and the shrink rate of the sun over billions of years. We're talking about a man who can't use QuickBooks.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I know that. Yeah.
And you want him to calculate the size of the sun.
Nice. But I think again, that if you're playing rhetoric games, and here is something where I think G-Man is really good at this sort of games, is that you revert back to, well, common sense says blah blah blah, and you can say, oh, so you say something like, well, that's what you believe, and this is what I believe, and therefore our beliefs are equivalent, right? There's a number of ways to weasel around it, right?
He's always using a pushback, and the one area that I did fault Casey on is not pushing back on Kent's source base, because functionally he's shredding modern physics when he's disputing the subatomic particles and the energy equal mass to where you actually get mass generated from energy in particle accelerators, and by forcing him to have to defend his source base, Kant would have revealed he has no source space. This guy has not got within 100 miles of technical literature, and it was a missed opportunity to force him to have to either put up or scamper off and go quiet.
And I think you have a point there, but remember, his faith as proof is his faith, right? He has the answer, and begs the question. That's essentially what religion has to do, and we saw in the first debate, Crocoduck really tried to help him understand that
it doesn't prove a natural cause.
Yeah, we got that, Jungle. Keep up.
Doesn't prove a natural
Bill,
cause.
yeah, Jungle, keep up. Hey, Bill, let me
no matter what your arguments are, you're still never going to prove a natural cause.
How do you prove a natural cause, Jungle? Take an example of what would prove that to you.
That's on you to prove a natural cause.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
Jungle,
Bill,
you got to start turning the flashcards, Jungle.
It's your claim. It's your claim. You have to prove it. I don't believe it. I don't have to prove it.
James, he throws
what if I told you that I don't give a rat's ass whether you believe it or not?
JJ just mumbles.
Then you're irrelevant.
So anyways,
you're not telling me anything. You're not proving anything. I don't have to believe.
I'm not interested. I'm not interested because you didn't use logic to get into your position. I'm not interested in wasting my logic to get you out of it.
Can I use that?
Landon,
can I use that? I like that. I like that.
You don't have any natural cause.
Jungle, do you know who's actually
natural causes?
One second. Do you know who's actually
the Bible is all
Jungle,
logic.
stop interrupting
It's
him.
all logic.
Jungle, stop interrupting.
Do you know who's actually doing the progress, like making progress in life? It's Landon, not you.
Yeah, I mean, how much schooling did you have to go through, Landon? I mean, quite a bit.
Yeah, and I'm still going through it.
That's irrelevant.
Yeah,
that's irrelevant to the proof of the
I
natural
know.
cause.
Yeah, I know. Schooling is a bad thing.
Sorry, Jungle, but it's a blunt fact.
I mean, I really.
Okay, so you're going to believe what people say.
Can we not go down this rabbit hole? I got to be ending this soon. I don't want to end it on. I don't want to end it on jungle jargon.
Discuss with PZ Myers biology.
Yeah, you can't.
He wouldn't discuss biology with me.
I don't think I could discuss finger painting with you. Why would he discuss biology with you?
Okay, where's your logic? What kind of logic is that?
We've moved into the era of paleogenomics now. So all the discussion of natural causes, we can actually retro-engineer molecules. We can retro-engineer ancient biology. We've done it with the reptile-mammal transition teeth, including extinct forms. We've done it with dinosaurs and bird snouts.
And one of the things that's amazing. I mean, if I were to restart my education, I'd spend a lot more time on genetics because to look at the evolutionary genetics people and how remarkable progress they've made in being able to do trace back on the tree of life is quite remarkable. But again, Dawkins says, I find it remarkable that you can infer a great deal from the aftermath of the Big Bang as well. But I think there's a lot of amazing stuff going on in genetics that are producing some really amazing results.
You guys hear me now?
Yes. Yes, it is a fascinating field. Yes, Bill, we can hear you, I think.
Oh, okay. I think I fixed the microphone problem. So.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, now that I'm ending the stream. But anyways.
But that's
at least I got it figured out. So.
Yeah.
The thing, we're right, now we're kind of in the golden age of cosmology in terms of the measurements we're making and being able to pin a lot of parameters down. But the whole area of evolutionary genetics is exploding in terms of the results that they're doing. It's been quite impressive.
Yeah, and if Jungle wants to write something up for somebody to look at, I'm sure that they will. But I never have seen anybody really write of anything of a reputational value for anything. I mean, I had a 4-hour discussion with him on a topic, and by the time we got done, it was just absolutely non-productive. Yeah. And so if you're going to refute evolutionary theory, you're going to refute general relativity, you need to come at the table with at least a basic understanding of it, and then explain to people that do understand it why they're wrong.
Yeah. Because say that's one of the things that I one of my pet things I did in undergraduate is measuring the speed of light and doing some relatively easy experiments on general relativity. It's an amazing.
I don't disagree
framework.
with general relativity.
I'm not saying you are. I'm ignoring that. But the amazing thing, and
who do disagree with general relativity.
He does disagree with it. Your laser pointer still has to go to the speed of light. Your laser pointer still has to go to the speed of light regardless.
Landon, to give you an idea of Jungle's interpretation of general relativity, do you know how you look at it like a space-time diagram?
Oh, you're gonna explain for me.
Well, this is true. This is what you were arguing. That if you look at a space-time graph, right, you take a graph paper, and then you bend it, and it bends. So just like the regular model for a black hole, you have it warps, and all of a sudden it goes down to infinity.
What are we talking about?
Right?
Sure.
Well, he thinks every one of those little squares on that graph paper is called a frame of reference, and they're individual units. So frames of reference are a measurement system.
The frame of reference is the frame that you make. It's 186,000 miles or whatever frame you want. That's the frame of reference.
You're using that. You're
186,000 miles.
A good frame of reference doesn't have a size. A frame of reference is a.
It's not a quantitative thing.
Yeah. You don't have two frames of 4.5 frames of reference.
No, but it's arbitrary frame that you choose. An arbitrary distance.
No, it's not a distance. Frame of reference is not a distance. Frame of reference doesn't have a size. Frame of reference is a coordinate system.
Does distance dilate?
It's not a frame. That's not a frame of reference. I'm a pretty calm guy, but this is just.
I did this for 4 hours with him, General. You could suffer through 10 minutes.
Okay.
But I was going to point out.
Dilates. Get that into your head.
That you can always tell which side has the science. They're the ones actually doing the work. And I know in the paleontology example, there has
look at a mathematical whiz. Look, you see what his answer was? And I asked him with distance dilates. Did you see what his answer was?
Jungle, we've been through this discussion about time dilation and Lorentz contraction. You were lost then, you're lost now.
Did you see what his answer was?
I'm not letting him else in because
this is what's so annoying, Steve. This is what's so annoying.
Are you okay, Jungle Jarman?
With you guys.
He's channeling.
You seem upset.
All right. With that note, we are going to be ending this feed here soon.
Can I get something in? I've been trying to say something.
Yes, Cliff Jumper, and then I will be ending this very soon, like really soon.
Han Solo said a little while ago about going technical. I actually think it's the other way round. I think the way to expose him is to go simple. Because all you have to do is make it simple so the audience can see that he doesn't know what he's talking about, and that will expose him. And the other thing I want to say is that Landon, if he dropped an octave lower and maybe stuck his finger in his nose, he'd sound a lot like Darwin's deity, wouldn't he?
You can eject him for that, Landon. If you compare to Darwin's deity, wow, that's hard.
Hey, Landon has mods.
Landon has mods. Landon has mods. Landon has mods. All right, guys, I am ending that. No, nobody. You can't. By the way, I can't even give out mods if I wanted to. It's not. It's a business account. So
anyway, so it's been wonderful talking there.
Thank you, Landon. I always love when you come in. You got to come in more often. You got to bring Pink Monk too. Pink Monk keeps saying that he's going to come join us. He'll come in for a few minutes, but yeah, I like having Pink Monk come in.
Right now, the power is out in his house. So.
Oh, and I know his channel gets back on the 4th or the 5th, I think.
Or something like that. It depends on the whim of YouTube.
He better invite me in one of these days. He better.
Which is as variable as quantum mechanics can be. So.
Why was it thrown off?
His channel or the power?
The channel.
Oh, he got flagged for something.
No, to strike. He did a parody spoof on somebody, and someone else took it seriously, even though the person he was doing it against laughed about it. But they said technically it appeared to be bullying, right? So.
Been there, done that.
So it's you really can't.
You got to do these things very carefully. There's a fine line, and you can't just be you can't do bullying type stuff, right? You can do you can do a video, you can do opinions, but you can't make it a bullying. If I say, hey, this guy Landon, yeah, he's a fucktard, and you need to go to his channel, and it doesn't matter how
and someone cuts that and says,
right, you can't do it, right?
Strike and so
yeah.
it's
so
anyway.
So he was a little. I think he was probably a little bit. Even he said that he probably went too far, but whatever. Stuart, do you want to get last word in, and then I will do my wrap up? Because you didn't get much to say. Anything, Stuart?
Yep. So here's my last word. I'm going to read my favorite quotes from this hangout. First one is, how do you know how many chromosomes Adam and Eve had? G-Man. That's the first one. Second one is, let me scroll down here.
True empiricism is a prophet.
True empiricism is a prophet. Yes.
I took a screenshot of that one.
Oh, God.
Now I'm really sorry that I have a life and missed that.
Oh,
no, I got it. Don't worry, Sam. I'll send it to you right now.
Yep.
But you could be an accountant and say it's a profit and loss.
This is why we don't come in these rooms anymore.
This is why we can't have nice things.
This is why Daddy drinks.
And a lot. To PZ about some bio stuff, but you guys were going very deep on the math and cosmology.
Don't hit me, bitch.
And
I was envious of PZ. He had vodka. We didn't. What's that, Stuart? Go ahead.
For the latency effect, we'll do the latest one, my favorite. The frame of reference is the frame that you make. That's jungle jargon right there.
Is that as good as G-Man's definition of a kind? I think G-Man's definition of a kind
mile,
is
it's a meter. There's two different measures, a mile and a meter. Which one are you going to choose?
Neither, Jungle.
I tend to be neither.
Can I please have the drugs that he's taking?
A lot of them, please. I'm telling you, if you could market this shit, you guys would be rich motherfuckers.
The meter's not the same as a mile.
Well, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, jungle jargon. A meter is closer to a yard, okay?
All right, guys.
Yeah, but you still didn't answer my question.
Just shut up.
Yeah, Jungle, it's been fun. But Jungle, bye-bye. It's been fun. I love you, but I got to remove you because I know I'll never finish this, and I've got to wrap it up. So I'm sorry, Jungle.
Credit giver yet?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't once. I'm surprised. But anyways, guys,
I want to offer a prediction.
What's that?
Today or tomorrow or whenever it is, over the next 24 hours or so, G-Man is going to say that King Crocoduck tried to use
Pluto.
What was it again?
The orbit of Pluto for evolution of evolution. Oh, absolutely will.
To Pluto to prove
we are still in it. Yes, we're still in the air.
Oh, he's been messaging me for like the last half hour.
He will absolutely do that. I clipped
what is it again? He'll say the orbit of Pluto. What's his?
He's going to lie about what was said in the debate, basically.
Actually, y'all want to see what he's saying?
Yeah, sure.
Is it a lie about what was said in the debate?
Sure, I'm wasting time until my friend he has a super fight tonight, so
go
ahead.
I
want to watch that live streaming. But this is a good way to pass that time.
So what are you saying, Sam? You're just slumming with us?
I didn't say that, but I also did not say that.
Are we still in there?
Yeah, we're still in there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah, you may not want to show that. But okay, so let me wrap this up as we go off here, and then I do want to see this. So, anyways, Bill, thank you for finally being able to get in. We'll talk. Trust me, because I know you. Yeah,
everything's fine.
Everything's.
Okay.
We'll work on it. It's not that great. But anyways, I want everybody to thank you guys for watching the debate. It was awesome. Thanks for watching the after show, the pre-show. Thank you for subscribing to my channel and to Drag's channel, to the Geek Room, to Strike, to Apologia, to Hanazubi's channel, to Helena Handbasket's channel. Who else are we missing here? Come on, guys, for some shout outs.
We need to direct folks to the donation page, to the G-Man and Jungle Jargon educational fund. Yeah.
What's in there so far, Greg? $2 in a bottle cap?
Yeah, well, thanks for the super chats on my people. I know a lot of people did put some super chat in. Thank you very much. It's
well,
nice
I offered for the course that I TA'd. I'll act as like an acting TA for G-Man and True Empiricism and True Jungle Jargon.
I think a lot of people would help
them
out
with whatever materials, but they're not going to take up that offer. I think that bioinformatics algorithms is probably too advanced of a course.
I don't think he can spell that.
VIO we can't spell.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Better. All right, but
I can hear you. I can hear you now in there. By the way, Bill, I just had curiosity, Bill. Your area study or specialty is what?
Well,
it was
I'm
hard to
not
hear.
a paleontologist. I was going to correct him on that. I mean, I'm an amateur paleontologist, but I'm a human origin specialist for the Arizona Museum of Natural History.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as a volunteer. I mean, but I'm down there a couple days a week. I've done something. I've had a couple discoveries myself where I've. Can you still hear me there? I'm trying to turn up the volume of this thing.
Yeah, you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Okay, and but yeah, I discovered about 18 sets, literally hundreds of 270 million year old pre-dinosaur reptile tracks up in the Mogollon Rim here in Arizona. Doing the excavation next month with the New Mexico Museum of Natural History on that, and I've just been studying human origins for.
Yeah.
Bill will be a guest of ours. Bill, I'm going to bring Bill on as a guest.
You're high respect for your field. You guys do amazing, guys and girls do amazing stuff on there, and it's wonderful to watch that sort of thing happen.
Yeah, my big thing is educating the children. I mean, I volunteer. I go down and volunteer. I only live about 5 miles from the museum, so I'm down there during the school year at 10 a.m. when the field trips get there. And I work evenings, just a couple evenings a week. So I'm there in the mid-afternoon, and I can reach sometimes 300 children in a day.
That's awesome.
Sorry, you said
that's awesome.
Sorry, you said
guys.
Sorry, you said that.
Guys, hang on. I got to take this off air. I know people are going another hour. I can't. So does anybody want to have a shout out before I take it out of air? Did I miss any channels? Did anybody? I'm sure I did. I know I did.
To my good friend Pimp
just
Monk.
All right, Pimp Monk. Shout out to Pimp Monk.
Yeah.
Who else? Anybody else?
I got one thing to say to Bill, if that's all right.
Actually, do it off air. So everybody wave goodbye. Everybody say goodbye. Thank you guys very much. Bye bye. We love you. Join the Great Debate community. Link below.